Good afternoon, everybody. It is May the 26th, 2025. I am Will. Welcome to Scouching Live. I am joined by not Greg Revac today, but thanks to him for coming on again on Thursday. But I am joined by my producer, AJ Jadero. AJ, sir, how
Yo,
are you? How are things? What's going on?
I'm feeling good because this makes me think that if the Leafs actually beat the Florida Panthers, they would have gone to the Cup Finals. So
Yeah, AJ, we got a lot of comments about your coping from a few shows ago
I
after
don't
the
think I
Leafs got
was.
eliminated. Well, I mean, I'm not saying you were or weren't, but people seem to think you were. So if you want to continue the trend, and maybe the Leafs would have made the Stanley Cup, and maybe they would have,
I never
But
cope. I always deal in reality. All right. I,
right,
I
it's
live in the
always
real
reality.
world,
Yeah.
and I've just been saying for years the Leafs are a really talented team. But hey, Florida's play style, and it was the point I was making before. Play style is the thing that matters, and look at how Carolina is doing. And I love Carolina, okay?
uh,
I'm not here to dunk on Carolina. Carolina, in some ways, I've equated them to my hockey spirit animal until the Florida Panthers came around and were actually my hockey spirit animal. But still, I love what Carolina does. It's just you can't throw that many nothing shots on net against a team like because they're trying to create chaos, but the Florida Panthers thrive in chaos.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean we're going to talk about that series later on. Before we get into that, the thing that literally a minute before the show started, I couldn't remember a topic that had happened since Thursday that I felt needed to be mentioned because a lot of people are talking about it, especially in this area of the world. And while people file in, maybe we could just quickly go through it. But it happened literally as the show ended, I think, on Thursday. But Brendan Shanahan is not coming back as the president of the Toronto Maple
Yep.
Leafs and whatever. I mean, you are, there are definitely certain personalities in Leafs media that have, beliefs and feelings about that. But how do you feel about a new era for the Toronto Maple Leafs with no president and alternate governor and Scott Pelley now running the show, calling the shots from the top? Is there anything that goes through your mind, or are you just sort of
We will see. That is
that?
how I
That's
feel. We will see.
That's the
Because
reasonable, probably,
it's
reaction to
tough.
that.
I don't know what Scott Pelley's going to do. So if he wants to take more
Right.
control of it, power to him. But I don't know yet.
I'm going to make myself feel very old, but Brendan Shanahan has been around in Toronto for what? A decade? I think 10, 11 years, something like that.
Been around for a while, man.
So if you are, say, 23 years old and you've grown up as a teenager and now a young adult in an era
Oh,
where the Toronto.
24. I'm 24. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
But like, I guess, yeah, let's say you're you, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're AJ
Yeah.
Jadero. Before Brendan Shanahan came along, do you have any idea how low the organization
Yes.
was
Yes.
as a
Yes.
reputational thing?
Yes.
Like,
Painfully
I think
aware.
I think the thing that people aren't really giving him credit for as much as they should is rebooting that organization from what I mean, yes, you could make the argument that like nowadays, yeah, they didn't show up in these two games and blah 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 blah. Like they don't care. They're the country club guys, just the same as the previous. But no, outside of the players on the ice, the way that the Toronto Maple Leafs operated pretty much my entire life until Brendan Shanahan came along was like they were
Pathetic.
a they were a sideshow. It was
Yep.
a circus a lot of the time. So, I mean, the fact that he was able to, I think, at least take some positive steps in the right direction of actually creating some sort of like vibrant culture behind being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan in Toronto. Like the fact that they now have like more recognition and appearances from people who used to be part of the team, like that never used to happen, right? Like that just never ever used to
Because
happen. It was
everybody was
always,
so ashamed.
yeah, and everybody just didn't want to be a part of it anymore, right? Like even like Matt Sundin, right? Like they tried to trade all those guys and did it without really much tact, and they all were just like, no, we're not
Yeah.
going to get Anyway, so yeah,
And the
I
guy
mean,
who
I don't know
ushered
how much.
in one of the worst eras of Toronto Maple Leafs, that being Brian Burke, is
Yeah,
the guy he mentored is now the general manager of this team and is alone with
And I don't know
Scott
I don't think we can really say like the role that Brendan Shanahan has in the Toronto Maple Leafs collapsing in games that matter. I don't think we can really speak to any of that. But I mean, a lot of people have been talking about like, well, Brendan Shanahan like fired Kyle Dubas because Dubas wanted to change up the core four, and it's like, I don't think
Did he? I don't think so.
that's what I'm saying. I think it's revisionist history there because I remember pretty clearly when that happened, and I am pretty sure, and we talked about this on the show at the time, that what happened was they went to Kyle Dubas and said, "We want to give you a contract extension," and he said, "Okay." And then, like, very quickly afterwards, he went back to Brendan Shanahan and said, "I'm not actually sure this is what I want to do." And in return for that, Shanahan then fired him, like, or didn't renew his contract. Right? Like, it wasn't that like he wanted to make decisions that Brendan Shanahan didn't. I think it was that he was being wishy washy about a job that he thought was very, very
Wasn't there more
important.
money? Didn't he also ask for more money too?
Well, yes, he asked for more money as well, right? But like the point I'm trying to make is like, let's not lose our mind here about like Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan. Is if Brendan Shanahan is this like controlling tyrant who has this vision for the team that is
He's not Harold
always roll it
Ballard.
back, roll it back, roll it back, roll it back. He's not, yeah, he's not Harold Ballard. So I don't know. I mean, look, I think that at the very, very least, I mean, what was his job, right? I think his job was to sort of rejuvenate that organization and like make them more recognizable and more marketable and less of a country club, I guess you could say. And sure, you could argue that the players on the team, they haven't accomplished much, but also they did make the playoffs. They made the playoffs between 2017 and now more times than the previous like like 20 years. Like they had a
Probably.
run from 2000 till 2004, but in the 90s they made it in the early 90s, but I don't know, I'd have to look it up. But the point is, reputationally, Toronto became quite the place, right? But anyway, I we don't need to talk. It was just something that came up as the show ended last week, and maybe someone was going to ask about it. But anyway, it's big news. At least here in Toronto, it's big news, and he's off to do bigger and better things, maybe. But anyway, the actual
Damn
playoff
it.
teams
Nothing's
that
bigger
are
than the
actually.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, teams that are actually
Yeah.
still playing hockey, though. We wanted to start with Edmonton, Dallas, because that shellacking happened yesterday. So I did you see this game yesterday?
Nope, because I was sleeping. I was recovering from
Right.
my overnight shift.
Yeah. Right. So
But I can tell
right.
you that I said to Will, so let me guess. Connor McDavid did a lot of the heavy lifting, and it was a lot of rush offense attempts where they were able to win this game. And it sounded like
Um.
I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Not. I mean, I think there was more to it than that, but you're not completely off base. Like I think that the goal that Connor McDavid scored literally right before the end of the second period that put them up 3-1. That was a bit of a demoralizing one, because that was a shift that was very, or at least an offensive zone possession that was very Connor McDavid focused, and
Mhm.
he was doing a lot on his own, and it worked. He scored, and going up 3-1 before the end of the second period, as opposed to going into the second intermission 2-1, is a very different psychological thing, especially when you get scored on in the last 20 seconds. You being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan have probably seen that happen many times where you give up a goal late in a period and it
Please
just
don't
makes your
remind
life
me. Please
so
don't
much
remind
harder.
me. Please
I
don't
just
remind
did.
me.
I just did.
Please
So
stop
too bad.
reminding me.
I'm done now. We can move on. I've done
Okay,
it. So
okay.
now we can move on. But then, I mean, that third period, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of me also kind of watched those goals back and went, well, maybe Jake Ottinger probably could have been the guy, right? Like Jake, or been a bit better, right? Like Jake
Mhm.
Ottinger did not. There was a couple of wide open saves, even though they were on breakaways or rushes or whatever. And you might want to, you might want to save there or whatever. But I don't know. At the end of the day, like the Oilers are so hard to stop. I mean, they scored 6 goals yesterday, and 8 guys had points. So they
They
have
got a
they
good
have
group of forwards, man. They really
they have a
do.
very good group of
And a
forwards.
good group of defensemen when it comes to putting the puck in the back of the net.
Dude, Evan Bouchard, man, he has been I don't know, like you want to talk about the pros outweighing the cons. I have not seen Evan Bouchard make a kind of play like we saw him in those games where the Oilers were really floundering at all recently. Like I don't know what has dialed him in, but he's looked really good. Connor McDavid, obviously, I think is like the
I
epitome
think
of
that
on ice
might
leadership.
be
Like,
I think that might be it, is Connor McDavid. That guy demands a lot, and he is the
yes,
greatest thing I've ever seen on skates.
he
So
is.
it's
Like,
kind of hard to not be inspired by a guy
yeah,
who plays that hard and that insanely well, where you just
yeah.
go, we've got this guy on our team. We can make it through.
Yeah, and the comment there about Bouchard deserving more credit for being a playoff performer. I mean, I think that is on the surface true, right? Like people, the way people talk about him, and we've done this before too, because like when he does screw things up, it can be insane. And there have been some moments in these playoffs where, oh my God, hold on to your butt. But like, it's also such a good reason to think about hockey as more than just isolated moments. And like you have to zoom out and see the big picture of like there's more to the game than this. And like it is about trade-offs, right? And you have to be so careful, I think,
But
especially in the NHL
but
about
Will, Sportsnet is
yes.
gonna zoom in on that
Exactly.
defenseman that made the terrible play. Oh
Yeah.
look, it,
They tried a thing and it
it's
didn't work.
it's
Better bench them.
2021 and the
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs are playing and they've conceded a goal and oh, who is that on Sportsnet's camera like
Right.
zoomed in? Oh, it's Rasmus Sandin. Oh, it's Timothy
Yeah.
Liljegren. I swear to God,
Yeah.
those moments frustrated me so much because then all the ire gets drawn to those players. But I mean, they can't make up for it the way that Bouchard can with just how
No.
like that guy's insane. That guy is
Yeah.
one of the most ridiculous players I've ever seen, and he's just the most honestly the most fun defenseman to watch because you will not see him. You will not see any good defense on either side when he is on the ice because he's gonna do
But
something
even
wild either way.
in the recently in the playoffs, he hasn't been bad in that area. Like he
No,
has
it's fair.
been very, very good at
But
both ends of the ice.
don't put it past him to have a moment like that again.
Oh yeah. No, I know. I'm not, but I'm just saying like so far, like after a little bit of a hiccup or two or five or six earlier on, like he has dialed it in and the whole team has just dialed in, right? Like Evander Kane had 3 assists yesterday. Zach Hyman has looked again like Zach Hyman,
Yep.
who's just cooking. I don't know, like friggin' John Klingberg had a goal yesterday, right? Like John Klingberg, the guy who lasted like 4 games in Toronto. I mean, I don't think he was like amazing, but
He was
to
also
find
more
himself in a
severely injured than too, to be
yes,
fair.
yep, he was. So anyway, I mean, the point is like you watch the Edmonton Oilers, and it really like this series, it's 2-1. I don't think it's over.
Nope.
But if Stuart Skinner is saving 97% of the shots against him and having 3 shutouts in 6 games for the rest of the
He is
playoffs, you're not
so
going to win.
but he's also been such a wild player this
Yes.
playoffs. He's either like conceding maybe one goal and wins or like
Yeah.
5, 6 or 7 in losses, man. It is
Yeah.
he
You're
is
right.
either unbelievably good or unbelievably bad. There is no in between with Stuart Skinner.
Yeah. So the thing is with Edmonton, like as long as that top unit, those top forwards keep cooking, and as long as the goaltending keeps the puck out of the net, I don't know what the heck Dallas is going to do. Like it's not that they don't have good players, but like there is a difference between the best players on Dallas when they're on the ice and Connor McDavid,
Mhm.
even Leon Draisaitl when he's on the ice, right? Like how much did Thomas Harley play yesterday? Thomas Harley played 23 minutes yesterday, 20 minutes at even strength. So to me, seeing what McDavid did on one of his goals against Thomas Harley, where he just blew right through him and shoved him off of him and just made about 6 feet of space, against the guy that played the most minutes on that team to score a goal. It's like, what do you do, right? Because your other options, maybe, yeah, you got a Haskin in there, you've got a Cody Ceci on that team, though. Like it drops off pretty quick.
Mhm.
So to me, I just like it's really I don't see Connor McDavid slowing down. I don't see that at all. I don't see that. I mean, unless like Ryan Nugent Hopkins is actually injured and like gets knocked out of the series or something, maybe there's hope. But Stuart Skinner regressing and Jake Ottinger regressing positively maybe makes this a lot closer. I mean, I think that game yesterday, 6-1, is a bit of a dramatic finish for how the possession in that game went. But if I'm Dallas, like I'm looking at the spray chart for shots yesterday. And again, Dallas kind of had that Carolina thing where they were taking shots from further out, not necessarily the most threatening attempts all the time, whereas Edmonton was picking their spots a little bit better and getting right and tight to the net a little bit more, unless Evan Bouchard was on the ice. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. I don't know.
Dallas, if they're gonna come back in the series, they're gonna have to find a way to deal with just the multi-layered offense of Edmonton, because you and I were talking about it off stream just before. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl complement each other so well in terms of the way they play the game. Connor McDavid's going to come out on the ice and he's just going to go like just blazing fast, and you are constantly behind him trying to catch up to him and keep up with him. And then Leon Draisaitl comes out and then the game just slows down. It's
in a good way though.
Yes, in a great way. Like it's push and pull. They have to adapt. So like they have to change their play style so differently to deal with the two of them, because they're such wildly different players that play on two separate lines and two guys who are number one center caliber.
Yeah. I remember the thing when I watched Leon Draisaitl play hockey is for anyone who's not aware, I don't just live in my basement, right? Like I also play hockey myself. I mean, I haven't recently because my shoulder's been crap, but when I do play hockey, I do play, and it's obviously not the same thing, but it is a very different thing when you experience it. I played a game once against a guy who played on the Greek national team at a tournament once. And I swear to God, we actually asked him after the game. I think he said he was 6'9", 6'8", and he was like I think he said he was like 260 pounds. Like this guy was enormous, and he wasn't like overweight enormous. Like this guy was a brick house. Like he just and he could barely skate. I swear to God, this guy could barely get around the ice. Like he was a guy. But then they would just give him the puck and you couldn't touch him. Like he just got his bum in the way, and if you shoved him, you bounced off of him. If you tried to reach around and try to knock the puck off of his stick, his arms are longer. He's going to keep it away from you. Like you needed to double team him every time he touched the puck. And if he got into the offensive zone, he just cocked back a wrist shot and fired one top shelf, and he scored like 4 goals. And so it's like, I know that when we do this, like in this world, we're really trying to look for like these guys that push pace and play creatively and do all of these things. But there is value to these guys where it's like, it does not matter. Like Brady Martin comes to mind, where it's like, it does not matter what they do, what you do to them when they are on the ice. Now, Brady Martin is not 6'8", 260 pounds, so it's a little bit different. But I'm saying play style. If you can absorb that pressure and you can keep guys off of you and you can sort of protect the puck really well, and you aren't a skater, not saying Leon Draisaitl isn't, but that's not his hallmark.
Definitely
then
not.
You're going to be fine. Like you're going to figure it out, right? And I think that's part of the reason why Draisaitl kind of had a bit of a shaky first few years, sort of finding out, NHL, AHL, WHL. He kind of bounced around for a couple of years, and people were sort of sitting there going like, I don't know, like this guy isn't coming along super well. And then boom, he pops off and is just fine.
Yeah.
So anyway,
he's a unicorn, I think, personally.
It's rare. Yeah, there aren't very many Leon Draisaitl in the NHL.
So,
that's the thing.
He might be the best dual threat offensive player in the National Hockey League. Just his passing quality is ridiculous, and the way he can backhand pass too, just spectacular. And his shot accuracy and his shot, incredible. But does he move all that well? Nah. No. Is he good defensively?
Really. But he doesn't need to.
Doesn't need to.
Well, yeah, that's where it kind of falls apart, is in his own end, right? Like it's a little bit behind what the rest of his game
Connor
is.
McDavid, because he's got speed and a lot of intensity, he does come back and is solid. Like nothing special, but he is an average defensive player in terms of the NHL level, and then you
It's
just
good
have the
enough.
ungodly offense
Yeah,
of
it's good
McDavid.
enough.
The like
So yeah,
5 standard deviations of
yes,
offense out of involving
exactly.
hockey.
So I don't know if Dallas is going to win this. I just watch these games and I go, man, the Oilers, when they are rolling, they are
But
really going. Like,
also,
I
when
don't
they're
know.
not, it is really bad. So they are
But
a
they
team
just
of
like,
massive
but
swings.
when was the last time you saw the Oilers play and you're like, wow, they really don't have it? Like,
In the Kings
they,
series at the start of it,
well, and that was what? The last time they lost, when they lost to the Kings, that was April 23rd. That was a month ago. So like they gave up 6 goals to Dallas in game 1, but I don't think that was necessarily like, oh my god, they pooped their pants that game. So like I get the only thing I can
everything
see.
about that team other than Connor McDavid is a wild card.
It is.
Like that
It
that
is.
is the problem.
I mean, I think though that the Edmonton Oilers are going to pull this off, and now that I've said that, they're not gonna, but I think they're gonna because they just look dialed. Like the Dallas Stars make one mistake, and the Oilers are in their zone making scoring chances, right? Like, and I don't know. I mean, Dallas has good depth for sure, but
They're a strong defensive team as well for the most part. It's just you're dealing with the most dynamic offense in the entire
yeah,
league, and it's really tough to go up against Connor McDavid where you're behind the play, and then Leon Draisaitl where you're ahead of it,
yeah,
and just
yeah,
constantly adapting and trying to change. And then you
yeah.
get the guys who are in the middle of their lineup who are just, normal pace, but good.
Hmm.
It's like you're all over the place trying to defend this team.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I think I mean the only thing is if Stu Skinner has made a deal with the devil here and is making a ton of saves, and that luck is going to run out at some point, and we get the Stu Skinner that is the sort of Mr. Hyde version of him, then maybe I guess this could tilt
I don't think
in
it's over
Dallas's
by any
favor.
means. And also, like, think about how great of a playoffs Mikko Rantanen's had. Yes, I know there's regression involved and he's going back down to earth a bit, but like Mikko Rantanen's a top 10 player or a fringe one at the very least. That guy is still also incredible. And Dallas has really great players too. Like Rupe Hintz is awesome. Jason Robertson's awesome. They have Miro Heiskanen back. And they have 2 number 1 defensemen essentially. Like, it's tough for me to say it's over considering Edmonton just has these wild swings all the
I
time.
don't think it's over either. I don't think it's over either. But when I sit back and watch these games, I'm going, holy crap, when the Oilers are rolling, they look way better.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
Stars I think are structurally more sound, and I think the Stars have a deeper lineup,
yeah,
and yeah, they're controlling possession a lot more, but it's so hard. It's so hard
yep.
to stop what the Oilers have right now. And if they're cooking and Stu Skinner's stopping pucks, ugh, I don't know. It's going to be tough, but yeah, I agree. It's not over. Speaking of not over, we'll go to the series that very likely is over.
Yes.
The Florida Panthers and Carolina Hurricanes. The Florida Panthers are absolutely hammering physically the Carolina Hurricanes
And
here,
mentally, man. Like
and
they have
mentally. Yeah, it hasn't been particularly close. I mean, I've
haven't
watched.
Carolina lost like an
Yes,
insane amount of conference
they
finals
are now up
games?
to 15 straight. I think 15 straight losses in the conference finals. I think,
Yeah.
which could you imagine, number one, if
Because
that was Toronto or
be-
Montreal, people
you
would
know
be losing their
you
minds.
know
But
why, Will?
why?
Because the Metro Division sucks. The Metro Division is a Mickey Mouse division, all right?
The Florida
I don't want to hear it anymore. The Atlantic is so much better.
the Florida Panthers have scored 5 or more goals in the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 7 games. And if you count the one before that, they scored 3. So they are a monstrous team.
Yep.
And I've said this on the show before, right? You go back and you look at the data from the Toronto series, and a lot of people complaining about Austin Matthews, right? He doesn't score, he doesn't score, he doesn't score. And you know what? I agree. Like, you're paid to score goals and he's not scoring goals. That's a problem. But he was out there neutralizing the top unit for Florida most of the series, and
That had
they were
two
pretty easily
Selke
neutralized.
candidates on
Right.
that line. On
And
that line, two Selke candidates that he was playing
and
against.
now you've got Alex Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, Unchained. Like they are running rampant over the Carolina Hurricanes. And then they also have the depth. I mean, Carolina's depth is much better than Toronto's. So I think that's where things might be a little bit equalized out.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like that Lusterinen is injured now, but like before he got hurt, like him, Lundell, and Marchand were the story of the playoffs for me. Like they were the group where I went, holy effing poop. This group of guys are just slamming whoever they are playing against. And they also have some skill. So the Panthers are just, I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? If they score 5 or more goals in the first 3 games of the series and they're up 3-0, it's a stomping. And there's a lot of talk. I mean, Rod Brindamore goes out there and starts talking about how some of the young guys on your team can't be the best players on the ice. And I look at Carolina and I go, I don't really know who is really pushing back against these guys consistently. Like, I don't, maybe I'm not paying enough attention to the games, but like, I watch and I just see so much momentum coming from Florida that matters, and so much from Carolina that is just like their best expected goals percentage in the game the other day was Logan Stankoven.
Of course it
And
was.
Logan Stankoven and Scott Morrow were top 2. And so it's like, yeah, and on the other hand, guys like Aho, like Sebastian Aho is just getting eaten alive. Taylor Hall eaten alive.
Mhm.
You know, Brent Burns and Jacob Slavin. Like the thing to me is it's very, very interesting. Like after this game ended, one thing I did, I went into Instat and I looked at some of the data for the NHL and the teams in the NHL over the course of the year. And one thing that did stick out to me, and this is something that you can say what you will about, but it is a fact. The team that threw the most hits at even strength this season was Florida. The team that threw the fewest was, say it,
Carolina.
The Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I'm not saying that hits are everything, but it does indicate, like, when you have one team that physically runs you over as much as they physically can, and they have a lot of guys who can do it, and the other team who does play a more intense sort of gegenpress style of offense, where it's a lot of pressure and a lot of chaos and a lot of whatever, but not really this like physical pressure. One of those two things clearly seems to be working better than the other. And that is a very interesting thing, right? And I think for Carolina, it's something to consider, especially now. Like the way that they play has gotten them to 3 straight Eastern Conference Finals,
Not
3 in
straight.
the last 4 years. What?
Not straight, but I think 3 in
Yeah,
the last 4
2 in the last 3 years, I think.
something like
Or
that.
3 in the last 4 years, something like that.
2 for
The
sure.
point is a lot. Yeah. Point is they've been there a lot and they haven't won. And I mean, Florida got them last year as well. So I think the thing is, and you can look at this every single game. You look at the spray chart from where shots are coming from. And I think Carolina.
Florida
What?
got them
Sorry.
in the last Eastern Conference Finals they were in.
Yeah.
Not last year. Last year, I think the Rangers beat Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And the
Oh,
Rangers
I thought
went to
Carolina was in the
conference
Eastern
final.
Conference Final
No.
last year.
No. It was the year
Oh.
before.
It all blends together.
Sorry about
but
that.
anyway, no, it's whatever. It's the years go by too fast. But yeah, I mean, I look at Carolina and I go, I mean, I see what they're trying to do. I get it, right? But I think this sort of perimeter-based offense that causes chaos is kind of hitting a wall here. And Florida is a team that is looking at that and going, we can work off of this, right? We can come back the
what's the
other
puck
way.
battle difference between these two teams? Because that would be something I think, especially like in Florida's defensive zone and the offensive zone for Carolina. I'd love to know those because I feel like it could work a lot better if Carolina is able to get the puck back, but Florida's really good at battling and getting to those loose pucks.
I don't have the information easily in front of me, but
Okay.
it does look like Carolina is winning that battle.
Okay,
Like a lot
interesting.
of the time. In terms of like, I mean, they have guys who, I mean, again, this is just based on the quality of the data going in, so I can't speak to it specifically.
Fair
But
enough.
it looks like Carolina is a team that is winning possession of the puck. But this has happened with Toronto and Florida last year, right? Like it was like, or 2 years ago,
Yep.
where it's like it doesn't really matter. Like Florida will just, all they have to do is hit you once, come back the other way, and score a goal, right? And they get way more quality scoring
Or one
chances
shot into your
than
shin pads,
Carolina.
and then here comes the
Yeah,
Florida Panthers on a rush attack, and Shane Goss's Bears defending. Whatever's gonna happen here.
right. Like
Good
I'm
offensive
looking,
player, but
yeah,
defensively,
like the Florida Panthers, according to this data service I'm looking at, they had actually, I can actually, and now I've actually got it confirmed that I can mention them on stream because they want to do more marketing. But on Sport Contract, Florida got 12 of 15 high danger attempts on net, and Carolina got 4 of 11. So Florida is winning the sort of key areas of the ice somehow.
yep.
So it's just, and I don't like, I feel like with Carolina, I have no more respect for another coach in the league when I hear people talk, when I hear coaches talk. There, I don't think is a single coach who I think I'd want to play for more than Rod Brindamore.
Yeah.
But I think it's very clear at this point that like something structurally needs to shift here. And I don't know whose responsibility that is to implement that. But the way that they're doing things, I see what they're trying to do. But I think you have a big enough sample, seeing how Florida plays and seeing how Florida is almost certainly on their way to another Stanley Cup final appearance, where you kind of go, okay, maybe we need to sort of shift our thinking a little bit here and try something a little bit different.
It doesn't
Do I
mean
think you
going out and like
well,
trying to chase hits.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
it's not about going out and being Florida, because that's like the cardinal sin of an NHL team is like you get your lunch money taken and all of a sudden you're like, well, that's what we need to be. It's like, no, it's just that the identity that the Carolina Hurricanes have currently might not be successful at when like you want to talk about performing when things really matter. Like when you're in the final 4 teams in the league, what separates those 4 teams, right? Especially in a series where you're down 3-0. And I think a lot of that, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think that, and I trust Carolina to be smart enough to like recognize this and go, okay, let's take a reboot here. Let's see how we can counter a team like Florida. And I think they have the tools and the pieces to do it. And I don't think it's as simple as like going out and trading a bunch of prospects and getting a Mikko Rantanen level player, right? Like, I don't think it's that simple, or signing Mitch Marner, right? Like, I don't think it's that simple. But I mean, that wouldn't hurt.
It would
But
help a lot.
yeah, that wouldn't hurt. But I don't like, I mean, the fact that they added Logan Stankoven and multiple draft picks this year when Rantanen didn't work out. I mean, Stankoven's been fantastic. I mean, I'm biased. I admit I'm very biased, but he has been very good for them. And he had 2 points. He had 2 points in that game and they scored 2 goals, right? Like, and got run over 6-2. So something's going right. And he fits in right there. I think they mentioned on the broadcast, like Eric Tulsky said, like Logan Stankoven was born to be a Carolina Hurricane. And I think that's what matters to me. That's what sticks out. Is like,
Yeah.
okay, you recognize a guy like Logan Stankoven's value, and that's the type of player you want. Good, right? Like that's the type of thing you want. Will Carrier is another one who I think, Jordan Martinook is another one, who all are the guys that I think sort of exemplify what they're all about. So we'll see what happens. But boy, I mean, another
I think
tough
it's
year.
just honestly, don't be as gung ho. Don't be as gung ho as they have been in terms of
With regards to what?
putting everything on net. Putting everything on net.
Oh, yeah.
Just look for a little more quality chances. Like, you don't want to become the 2021 Leafs where you're just only chasing XGs, so expected goals. But I think adding a bit more of that to their offensive zone time would be super beneficial, because like my brother has always made jokes with me about, oh yes, another Carolina Hurricanes performance that makes the opposing goaltender look like a god. Like, and this
Right.
was, my brother would say this in the regular season about a lot of teams, because Carolina, they are just going to shoot. They are going to take as many shots as possible a lot of the time and have like a massive shot attempt differential.
Yeah.
They are the Corsi merchants of the world.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the comment about it being as simple as the Panthers being more talented and deeper, I don't think it's that simple.
They're
Like
more talented though.
But look at the names on Florida's roster. If you told me 5 years ago that we would be talking about Nico Mikkola, Ito Luosterainen, Jesper Boqvist, uh, AJ Greer, Nate Schmidt,
Jonah
Gustav
Gadjevich.
Gustav Forsling, Thomas Nosek, and Jonah Gadjevich as like major parts of Seth Jones.
Even Sam
Like,
Bennett to an extent too.
yeah,
Like Sam
like,
Bennett. Sam Bennett sucked in Calgary. He was not
yeah,
good.
no,
But
like
the play
these
style
guys
is
are
what elevates
guys.
him. The play style
Like,
elevates Sam Bennett.
that's the
Sam
thing.
Bennett's going to get overpaid by some team, and he's not going to be nearly as valuable because he's not going to be in
Yeah,
a system that is as good or conducive to his play style as the
yeah,
Florida Panthers. Like, he just fits perfectly the mold. But if some team goes out there and gives him like 8+ million, even $7
right.
million
You're
dollars,
barking up the wrong
you're
tree.
you're in the wrong. Yeah.
It's the same idea as, was it Milan Lucic when he left Boston, signed like a gargantuan contract somewhere?
Was it with Edmonton
Was it him? Was it with Edmonton? I don't remember. I think it might have been Edmonton. But like,
or
I guess
Calgary?
I'm
It
not.
might have been.
Yeah.
It was. He was played for both
Oh,
teams. I remember him playing for both
I
teams.
don't remember. I know he was traded for James Neal. I don't know. But the point is,
I think it might have been to Calgary.
right. Well, the point is,
Who was the
like,
GM at the time?
I
I'm
don't I
worried
don't think
now.
it's I don't think you can sit here and honestly look at the Florida Panthers roster and go, this team is objectively just deeper than the Carolina Hurricanes, cuz like it just seems awfully convenient when like half of this team are like like just dumped guys off of other teams. I think that what the important takeaway is, like, this is kind of why I feel the way I do about the draft and players, and like why I don't get concerned when people are like, these are the worst rankings I've ever seen. These look completely different from everyone else's. What the hell are you smoking? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, because I think about I think about the playoffs and where we're at and how these teams win in the playoffs. And I go, there's something to the Florida Panthers and the way that they play and how the players buy
Hmm.
into how they play and the players that they add specifically, that creates this like positive environment that wins in the playoffs, right? They're not just big, slow, plodding clones of Douglas Murray who hit everything that moves. They are fast. They are a really well structured team, too. Like, their short range passing, their support in motion, like, it's all so good. And so they've gone and acquired these guys who they fit this like mold of what they want to be as a team. And so for me, that's why when I go into the draft work, I go, I know how I would structure like how I would build a team that I think has a game plan that could win games.
Yep.
So I want to find players that fit that mold, because in my books, there's no such thing as this player is better than this player. Like, there is to a certain extent, but like, could you honestly look at me even a year ago and go, you know what? Yeah, I think Nate Schmidt could play 17 minutes in the third round of an NHL playoff game that they win 6-2. That, like,
Again, that is like, because
just
he was good at one point, and then it just fell off a cliff after he left
right.
Vegas, and everybody looked at him as like, oh, this guy's he's lost it. But
How many times has Jesper Boqvist been on waivers? How many, like, he was an AHLer for the Boston Bruins playing with Fabian Lysell, right? Like, and yes, I mean, yeah, Alex Barkov would be the best player on Carolina, but that's not the
and
point. Like
Matthew
you said,
Tkachuk would
deeper.
be too, right? But
Yeah, like that's not the point I'm making here, right? Like, obviously Alex Barkov is an incredibly good hockey player, but like the vast majority of the Florida Panthers are just dudes who have been written off, and Florida found a way to like fit them into the game plan, and they've bought in.
Gustav Forsling was a
Yeah,
Carolina
waivers,
Hurricane.
Like, and he played 23 minutes.
He's probably their best defensive defenseman.
Like, people were talking about Seth Jones like he was the worst hockey player in the league. He played 22 minutes and was one of their leaders in possession last night or 2 days ago.
The thing is,
So
with
to
Seth
me,
Jones, it's like he's another player that you've just got to put him in the right spot. He's not
right,
like, if you try and replicate what he did in Columbus and Chicago, he's not really like, he's not worth his full contract. He still wouldn't even be worth his full contract now, but it's like he's a very useful player when he gets to be, because he's a really athletic player. Like, he's got a lot of tools, and you just let him be Seth Jones instead of being this stout defensive guy. He gets to be a little more aggressive, a little more offensive, and gets to push the play a little bit more. And he scored the goal that unraveled the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like
He
that,
did.
that,
He
and that
did.
was it. That was it. He entered in on a rush, shot it because he's a talented player. He's a tremendously talented player that just needs to play in a system that lets him be in the offensive zone a little more.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is like I don't know how Carolina sorts this out. I mean, I feel like this isn't maybe over, but it is eventually going to be over for Florida. Like, I don't know how Florida loses 4 straight games, even though they're facing some injuries now. The thing that has always stuck out in my mind is Paul Maurice talking about how his team plays. He's like, our job is to wear you down so that if we make it to game 7, we have the physical
War of
advantage.
attrition. That's what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Everything that the Florida Panthers does from a psychological aspect to just playing the game is perfect.
And that's their MO. Like that's their structure. And that is, to me.
And the pace is such an important part of what they do. It is the most valuable part, I think, of what they do is just playing so fast and with so much tenacity, just going out there and making you think, like just mentally rattling their opponents so they cave in. Like against Tampa,
For 60 minutes too.
They had the Tampa Bay Lightning completely rattled. A former Stanley Cup champion, dynasty level team, like fringe dynasty level team, I think 3 cups to me is when you get into dynasty territory. And Tampa was right there. Tampa was right there in the dynasty territory. And honestly, I think Florida's better. I think Florida's better than Tampa ever was, just because of the play style. It doesn't even like they're not even. I don't even think that they're as talented as Tampa, but just
that's the thing.
All the components that they have in terms of like the play style, what they do, and how they mentally destroy you and shake you.
That's the point. That's the point I'm also trying to make. Is like I don't think about the game in the sense of like finding good players. Like I am not a believer in like find good players and it'll sort itself out, because like what is the definition of a good player?
Find fits.
Like that's
good fits.
It's like you have to have a game plan and you have to stick to it, right? Like that's the part where I get concerned about teams, is when you can see the direction that they're trying to go, but then they start sort of adding these weird offshoot styles of play that like don't really fit that style, and it's like, well, they're trying to say, well, we have some weaknesses in this area, so if we add these players to shore things up here, it's like I don't know if I would do that as much,
and
right?
They're
like
all in the name of identity, even though it actually counteracts the real identity of your team.
So so for Florida, like the thing that blows my mind about them is that they are a constant pressure team, physically and positionally, right? Like if you dump the puck into or if Florida dumps the puck into your zone and you're on a retrieval, they have 3 guys on you.
Like Tanev took like 8 hits a game.
Yeah, 3 guys on you every time, and their defensemen are pinching up into the faceoff circle, right? Even when Toronto was down 5-1, I saw Seth Jones go into the net. It's like they
don't
just
care. They want to ruin you, and that's the way to play. Don't in any competition. If you're winning, I don't care if you're beating a 5-year-old. Beat that 5-year-old into submission. All right, you got to win. You got to win. Hey,
please don't clip that.
Oh, it's a game. I'm talking about a game. Okay, I'm talking about a game. It's not you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me who said it. I'm the one who has to worry about it.
It's true. Yeah.
But
AJ,
I don't let
punches kids.
No.
Confirmed.
I don't punch kids, but I don't let children beat me at things. Because there's
AJ's going to be that dad.
Oh yeah.
AJ's going to be the dad gloating to his 4-year-old winning in Mario Kart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of the gaming that I'm going to do when I have children is going to be getting better at the video games my kid enjoys to ruin it for him.
Right.
No, I won't do that, but I think it'd be very funny if I did.
EU4 just conquering them within 6 years in the most embarrassing way imaginable.
Well, it's okay. My dad showed me how to play Age of Empires, and I can destroy him at that game now.
Okay.
But
it builds character, right?
I will not let my children be better at anything than me. No. I'm better.
Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, I just it is always, this is kind of why I pay
No
as much
mercy.
attention in the
No mercy is kind of the. No, I just mean
right.
like getting away from the whole comment, the funny
Yeah.
comment I made. They just don't care. They're gonna embarrass you, and it is the Mongol horde coming
Well,
at
that's the
you,
thing, is
battering
like they
down the
are.
battering down the walls, and like I said, killing all the civilians and keeping the administrators, teachers,
Yeah.
doctors, and lawyers. The
Yeah.
rest of you, you're gone.
They are a big reason. They are a big reason why I pay a lot of attention to the NHL playoffs, or at least as much as I can, because the teams that do well in the playoffs, I think people misunderstand exactly why they
Yeah,
do so well in the playoffs. And it's like, and in my world, like when I look at my sort of rankings or whatever, my priority isn't necessarily types of players that play on the Florida Panthers, because my type of player is more about like that. I do want those guys that can play at the top of your lineup, that can be those Connor McDavids, right? Like that's the first priority. But if you look at the guys that I like past the first round and like through the rest of the draft, it's like, I don't care how big you are. But if you're like Evan Rodriguez and you go out there and you're quick and you're aggressive and you're physical and you know, really play well off the puck and
shout
are
out to
quick thinking,
Tobacco, boy.
yeah, yeah, one of my favorite players on the Panthers, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like, if you're one of those guys, then I find you valuable. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I don't care that you're 6'7" and you're like, well, he skates okay, so like maybe he can turn into like a bottom pair guy. It's like, no, 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 no. It's like why I liked a guy like Teddy Stiga so much, because yes, he's 5'11, but like when you watch that guy play hockey, you're like, this guy will move heaven and earth 60 minutes a night to help me win a game. That's
yeah, but
just
he's
how
six
he
feet
plays.
on skates. Okay, that's
Oh,
the new joke that we
that
gotta make.
reminds me. That reminds me. Over the last week, I have come up with something. I have discovered something. I probably should have known this in advance, because I a person who try and make their living in the world of hockey.
Yep.
But I don't know if you remember this. And shout out Jordan Millette, who says this is one of the best things I've ever said on the show. But I held a cell phone over my head and I said, "Are we really splitting hairs over like the width of a cell phone when comparing two players?" Right? Like that's kind of what we're really talking about here, like 2 centimeters, really. I found out that a hockey puck is 1 inch. I did not know this because I'm a moron, but I measured it with calipers because I'm a nerd, and it is an inch. So if we're talking about two different players and we're talking about like this much of a difference in height, right? Then that's something. So now I will refer to it as hockey puck widths. So if one player versus another player is a hockey puck width, you know, like Teddy Stiga, two hockey puck widths of height. Is that really that big of a difference that we're really going to complain about? I don't know. Maybe, but the second thing I will always highlight is the formula for kinetic energy, where mass matters way less than speed. It is literally basic physics, where if you are a object in motion, the speed at which you are traveling matters way more than the mass of the traveling object. Just ask the Florida
Yep.
Panthers, right? Like that's it. So
Why I
that's what
prioritize
I'm
being
prioritizing.
fast instead of big, you know?
Right, right. And so to me, it's that easy. Like obviously, it's not easy, but that's the line of thinking that I'm always trying to carry forward. Is
Simple,
like, okay,
correct? As opposed to
yeah,
easy.
yeah. Like the understanding is relatively fundamental. Like it's you know pretty easy to understand, and it's pretty easy to see the difference, right? Like obviously being big and fast is the best option. You know, again, just ask the Florida Panthers with a lot of their guys, but not everybody. And you know, to me, intensity and forechecking ability and physicality, like it all,
Will
like look
even
at
like just your determination to go
yeah,
and win a puck back. Like
look at
that is
LJ
huge.
Mooney. We talked about him on the show with Greg on Thursday, and he's a big fan of LJ Mooney and has been since Mooney was like 15. And yes, there's injury concerns, I think, for sure. But I mean, past a certain point in the draft, he is a player that throws a lot of hits. He is a player that forechecks a lot. He is a player that plays fast and hard and heavy and intense. And yeah, he's a little small, but I don't know, like
I like Nick
what
Robertson. You
sure,
know?
like would I draft him in the fourth round if he's still there and go up to him and be like, look, our priority is going to be to keep you healthy. So whatever you need, we're going to do that. But we love how you play. Don't worry about where you got drafted. You know, just keep playing with the way that you've played, right? Your whole life, skilled, creative, but really physically intense. and we'll find something for you to do. I don't know what that is, but we'll find something for you to do, eventually, right?
Small
And I
guys can
think
play
that
on the third line. It's not like I
sure,
don't think you don't have to just have pure guys the rest of
yeah,
your lineup. You can have a fourth line with some skill. Honestly,
yeah,
that's where I think it should be heading.
yep. So anyway, at the end of the day, like the Panthers are just like
They're gonna
I
win.
think
They're gonna win again.
the
They're gonna win
Panthers are
again.
going to win eventually. I think, and I think it will be. I'm not saying that the Carolina Hurricanes have to like blow it up and
Nope.
rebuild because they suck. It's like I think it's a moment for them to sort of sit back and go, okay, how do we reframe sort of the approach to the game? Whether or not that's with Broad Brindamore, I don't know, but it's like a sit back and kind of go, okay, what do we do from here? Because this is clearly not working.
I
You don't
don't
go
think it's a
0
major
16.
overhaul though. I think it's you
No.
make some s- small changes to what you're doing as opposed to like we got to completely reimagine this. No. Just
Yeah.
look for more quality,
And
I think. More quality
and
chances. And yeah, you definitely want to get a bit more star power on the team, but I credit them for going out and trying to get Mikko Rantanen, try and bring in a
yep.
player like that. And then it didn't work out, but it doesn't matter because Carolina just brought in Logan Stankoven and got first
Yeah.
round picks. Like they took a shot at something. I think it was really commendable for them to do that. Couldn't work out, and they figured that out pretty early. And then they
Yeah.
got a good package for it.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get into questions, but the last thing I'll say
Or
is
we're going to do the Memorial Cup a little bit.
oh yeah, we can cover the Memorial Cup. I mean, I think we got asked about it anyway, but
Yep.
yeah, we can do that. But regarding the Carolina Hurricanes, like I know people are kind of like dunking on them for losing so much in the Eastern Conference Final, but like I was talking to someone this week about this, and it's like I think it's so important for people to remember that like the people involved with these organizations and everything, yeah, they lose 16 straight, 15 straight. It's not an awesome look, but they are like they are trying so hard to to do the thing. Like it is unimaginably difficult to win a Stanley Cup. Like it is insane.
Yep.
And it's like it's like the feeling of getting so close this many times and having it just turn out this way when for a fact, I know for a fact that the Carolina Hurricanes are operating in a pretty good overall way.
Mm-hmm.
In the scale of the entire National Hockey League, I would not at all consider them a joke franchise in this league.
No, they're one of the best,
And so
top to
to
bottom.
be able, so it just sucks so bad to get to this point, and especially when it's against Florida too. Like you just and it just doesn't go your way. Like I know it's funny to like poke at how bad, but it's like I will never ever 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 believe that anybody at any NHL team worth their weight, especially the Carolina Hurricanes, is not looking at this as like some sort of joke or what am I even doing here, or this is a disaster or something. Like it's just they're trying, and this is like they've done so well. Like they think of the fact that they've been to 3 Eastern Conference Finals in 4 years, right? With teams that look quite a bit different year over year, in a lot of areas. Like it's just crazy to me. And like I had it kind of pointed out to me. It's like, yeah, like fans might not feel so good about the way things have gone, or fans might not feel so good about their respective teams or whatever, but like it's a different environment, in the organizations these that are being affected here. And it's like you just hate to see this kind of thing happen. It's just brutal. So anyway, it
I
was
just
just
want to go
something
through it quickly,
just kind of
like
clicked.
in terms of when they've been to the conference finals. I remember they were against Boston. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure they played Boston in 2019 or 20. Yeah,
Right.
the year St. Louis won. And they
Right.
definitely were there against Florida for when Vegas won the cup. And then this year. But I don't remember
Oh,
the
okay.
other one.
Yeah, so it was Panthers 2 years ago, and then the Bruins in 2019. So it's 3 times in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But they also
Because I remember the
haven't.
Islanders were in the conference finals quite a bit
Yeah,
too.
they
For a little
lost to
bit.
the Rangers twice in the second round. Lost to the Lightning in the second round.
Did they get swept by Boston? They must have.
Yeah. Yep. Swept by
And
Boston,
then what was
swept
the other
by
one?
Panthers 2 years ago,
No, no.
and then
What was the last, like the first one where they lost?
2009 they lost 4 to the Penguins.
Okay, okay. So that's where it spans across.
Yeah, 2009 they made it. They won the Stanley Cup in 2006. Damn. They had quite the run. I forgot they got to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2002 and lost to the Red Wings, but that was the year they beat the Leafs. So there you go.
Don't
But
remember it
anyway,
because I was
yeah.
one.
Right, that's true. I remember that. Holy. Um yeah.
Why couldn't that streak start then? You know? No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. It sucks for Carolina. I don't think they're doing anything particularly wrong. I think it's just going to be like a structural, like team structure thing. I think that needs to maybe shift a little bit here.
Mhm.
But anyway, we'll do some quick stuff here before questions because I know there are probably questions about the Memorial Cup. I have seen at least the last. I watched. Let's see. I watched Moncton London and I watched Rimouski London. I missed most of Medicine Hat Rimouski, so I can't really speak to that all that much. Um, but I mean, as expected, it's been a heck of a tournament so far. I mean, the Moncton Wildcat game. Oh my goodness, the game against London there. I mean, London controlled quite a bit of that game, and I think the right team won in the overtime there. But Moncton is still a good team. Like they are. I'm excited to see them play Medicine Hat tonight. I mean, Medicine Hat, from what I saw, like that is that team. You want to talk about like depth and offense, like that is a scary looking team. And I mean Bryce Pickford, I'm pretty sure is going to get himself a draft pick just based on how he's played in the playoffs and tournament alone. Like his shot from the point and scoring ability is just way better than what I remember from last year, like way better. um and the surroundings there are just so good for him. But I mean the London Knights are also a just a juggernaut of a team. Like they are the, I want to say, Florida Panthers of this tournament. Like they are really well structured, really always involved in play. Like the guys that have always stuck out for me for London as like really good junior players that, we'll see what happens in pro hockey, but at the very least looking like really good junior players who I don't think really get a whole lot of attention are like guys like Jacob Julian, guys like what's his name, Jared Woolley on defense. Who else has been there? Blake Montgomery, I think, has looked really good for them as well. Like pro hockey, we'll see, but these are guys who I think at this level, Casper Haltonen's another one. They just eat you alive at this level, right? Like it's just so hard to gain the upper hand on guys like that. They've got reach, they've got some speed in their game, they're physical. Um, and I think that it just makes it so hard to like gain some kind of advantage. Austin Elliott's been great in net for the London Knights. And again, I should say also like Mathis Langevin for Rimouski yesterday was really, really good in net. And Moncton's goalie William Rousseau, I think Rousseau's their goaltender. He was really good for them too in that game against London, right? Like London outshot the crap out of Moncton in that one, and he did a pretty good job keeping them in that game, and ultimately they lost. But it's hard to stop London, man. Like I don't know, that game against Rimouski, I thought Rimouski pushed back pretty decently well. Like Eric Matejko had a big game. I didn't even remember. I forgot that he was on that team. I thought Alexandre Blais looked pretty good as well. Like they had some good players on that team. It's just a matter of like like against London, like London got themselves some really, really good scoring chances, and Rimouski didn't quite get the same quality. It was very sort of Florida v Carolina a little bit going on. But yeah, I mean, the London Knights look great. Rimouski looked better than I thought they would. Moncton they've got some great players, but I don't think they have the depth that London does. Medicine Hat, I am excited to see them play tonight. And tomorrow against London will be, I think, potentially a preview of what the final could look like. And I don't know which one I'd put my money on. Like the Medicine Hat Tigers have so much firepower, but London has so much just depth, and their goaltending has been great. So has Medicine Hat, though. Harrison Mennigan has been insanely good for them, even though, game one, he gave up 4. The point is, like, beyond that, in the playoffs generally, he's been outstanding. So for me, like, everybody's looking at guys like Easton Cowan as well. I mean, future Toronto Maple Leaf ideally. So okay, uh,
Gonna
I
replace
get it.
Mitch Marner
Yeah. Oh my
perfectly,
God.
okay?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw that
Wait,
gem.
wait, is that
Someone posted.
I had
I think it
no
was an
idea
article.
about that.
Oh,
I just made a joke about it because I
yeah.
figured that there would be something
I
people
think it
thinking
was
that
in.
he would.
I think it was in the Scouching Discord server. Someone posted a blog post someone had made of like, could Easton Cowan replace Mitch Marner's offense or whatever? Like,
No.
it's just like, no,
No.
man, not at all. Like, I don't. But Easton Cowan again, he's another one though. Like, we talk about guys like Julien and Montgomery and all this stuff. They play their role really, really well. But like Easton Cowan in the OHL at this age, like he is also impossible to stop in a very like he's like a small Leon Draisaitl in the OHL. Like he is not necessarily the fastest,
But in the
you know.
OHL, okay? In the OHL, that's the
Well,
key
yeah, like
word.
he's smaller and he's not as strong, I would think, but like his ability to make reads on the puck and get himself into scoring areas, and if he can't get the puck into scoring areas, doing all of those things and doing it very, very often at this level, like it's like easy for him. NHL, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see about that. But I think that for Easton Cowan at this level, like it's you watch him play, it does not take very long to see how smart he is, how much better he makes the guys he plays with. I mean, Sam O'Reilly's been good too, but Easton Cowan is doing a lot of heavy lifting for the top end of that lineup so far in this tournament. So it's been a really, really good, tournament so far from what I've seen. I'm excited for tonight. Again, I'm not counting Moncton out of this at all, really, like at all. It's just going to be a matter of like, are they going to like, you got to beat Medicine Hat
Mhm.
tonight and then London Medicine Hat tomorrow. I don't know. That's going to be the game that I'm most interested in for sure. But anyway, let's get into some questions. Let's because I'm sure it'll come up again.
Sure.
Yeah, it'll come up again, and we'll get into this. Also, before we get into questions, I must say, thanks very much, everybody. We crossed 9,000 subscribers over the
Hell
last week,
yeah.
which is great. So let's get to 10. 10 for the draft. That would be fun.
It'd be really tough, but share all of our
I believe.
videos, like all of our
I believe.
videos, sing our
Tell all your
praises.
friends to call me an idiot in the comments,
Yeah,
and we'll
we'll
get the
take
engagement.
listen,
You know,
we'll take hate comments, okay? Just don't be too crazy, all right?
Yeah. Also, I will say, like, the YouTube search pages and algorithm have become such a mess. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've searched Scouching report on YouTube and nothing from this year pops up. And I put it in the everything, like it's in the tags, description, title, everything. And it just doesn't pop up anymore. But there's like 4 videos that pop up from like 2020, and then like a bunch of videos from my algorithm that have nothing to do with what I searched about. Like that's what drives me nuts about YouTube is you search a thing and it gives you like 5 options and then like 40 options that have nothing to do with
Which
what
is
you
why
searched.
it's super
It's just
important
your
you subscribe.
yeah, it's anyway. But anyway, yeah. So
But thank you all.
thank you for that. Yes. And we got lots of reports coming out. We got one tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday this week. Obviously, if you're a subscriber to the show or to the channel, sorry, you by that no. If you're a subscriber to scouching.ca, the website, you get access to them as soon as they're uploaded. We're trying to put out as much as we possibly can before the end of March or
Yeah.
end of June.
Mhm.
But anyway, and also, shouts out to whoever my barber's going to be this week because I've let my hair grow way too long, and they're going to have to manage with this. I look like Carrot Top,
Hey,
but
do you want a really cheap and good barber?
sure.
You have to come down to my neck of the woods, but
Oh well, then never mind.
okay. Well, I will shout out my Korean barber, Cho, who I've been going to since I was 3 years old. Prices are awesome. It's
Shouts
25
out to
bucks
Joe.
for a haircut.
Okay, that's a little more than mine, but my guy's pretty cool. He's a pretty chill
Is
guy.
it?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Or sorry, it's a little less than mine. Sorry, is that what I said? Yeah,
It was
a little.
20 for a long time as well. Like,
Oh, yeah, mine's a little more. That Burlington commercial real estate doesn't pay for itself, you know.
no, fair enough. Down in Islington
uh,
Village, Cho's hair
yeah,
salon. You get
those.
honestly, been going to it before. Like she took over because it was another Korean lady who was in charge of it, who
Yeah.
she worked alongside of. They've just been awesome to me,
All
and
right.
since I was 3 years old, I've been getting my hair cut there, and they
Oh
still
my
do a great
god,
job.
that's sick.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god. Wow, boy. I don't know. I did go to the same dentist from birth until I moved out of Toronto. So 2020. So like 30 years I went to the same dentist. I used to go to the dentist and my hygienist, shout out Jackie, you're the best. She used to pay me. She used to
Wow.
give me money for being a good boy. She'd be like, "Wow, you were such a good boy." I'd be like 29 years old and getting my teeth cleaned, and she'd be like, "Oh, you were such a big, strong boy. Congratulations. Here's $5. Buy
so,
some
so
beers."
that was 5 years ago, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly. I was a grown man with a job and like living in the city, moving out of the city, and she's like, "Here, take some cash. You know, you were good. You were good today. You showed up on time, and blah blah blah." So, shout out Jackie. You were the
Yeah, I'm
best. I
always
mean,
going
she's
to
still
my
around,
Korean
but
barber. I don't
yeah,
care. I will always
yeah,
go there. It's great. 3 years
yeah.
old since I was 3 years old. I used to live
My God.
right in the townhouse complex next to where they are, basically.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into this second half of the show. If you're not aware, obviously we do questions in the second half of the show. So let's get into it. Who are the best defensive forwards in this draft? Any Phil Deneau archetypes? Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who could play like a good third line role this year, right? Like, especially as like a center. I think Frondel's a good example. If you wanted him to do that, I love Bill Zonin. Carter Bear could be a really good sort of physical third line guy at the end of the day, but I think he's got a bit more ceiling than that. Denwye, I think, could be a good one. Brady Martin, maybe Jake O'Brien, maybe not Jake O'Brien as a Deno type. Brady Martin comes to mind a lot. Uh, I mean, like Deno wasn't like was he a first round draft pick? I don't remember. I feel like he was. I might be mixing him up with someone else.
You might be. I don't
He
remember.
was okay. He was a first round pick. He went 26th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Bill Zonin would be one that I would also factor in there. I think he's quite a player. Who else? But I think there's a few of them. Cole McKinney could be a good shutdown guy. Um, the one that I've been curious about recently is Matthew Lansing, but that's like a late round pick. But he's a guy who I think does a lot of things the right way and plays hard and good defensive player, but not there yet. He's not on the same level as those other guys. Based on all I've heard, is that Dubas essentially demanded to be the deciding voice for all hockey decisions, which essentially made Shanny useless. Rumors that Kyle wanted to trade Marner. I mean, that's rumors. Like, that's rumors. But, like, what we do know is what they said about the circumstances around his departure. But I will also say, like, the point I'm trying to make is, like, Shanahan's job, like, that's just a very convenient explanation for, like, why things have happened. Whereas Brendan Shanahan's job was not necessarily to be that. He
Mhm.
wasn't solely like the guy above Kyle Dubas approving everything he did. He was also the guy that helped rebuild that organization and like oversaw a lot of the operations of the whole team, right? Like a
He
professional
turned
sports
this
organ,
roster, or like this franchise, from literally a dumpster
a joke.
fire
Yeah.
into something, at least
For a time.
into you know what? He turned it from a dumpster fire into a toilet, okay? Because people still take dumps and
Yep.
whiz all over the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they were always
Yep.
going to. So you know
Yep.
what? At least it's a nice toilet, okay? It's a nice toilet
Yep. Yep.
that gets
And I
cleaned
so
very regularly, okay?
like the thing, yeah, like the alumni are showing up. They are participating with the organization on things that didn't used to
Like,
happen.
all in all, it's a really good organization. Just
Right.
they have their
They're
bedwetting problems.
Well, they all, and yeah, I mean, there are also some areas where I definitely think they could do a little bit better with like fan outreach and really being like a cool organization for the fans to participate in. But that's not the point. Like the point is that like maybe that's true, maybe, but also you have to understand that like it is a very difficult thing to give a rookie general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs the keys to the car immediately when they on paper have not had a great amount of success. They did when I guess in 22 and 23 they hadn't even won a first round series. So at that point, why would you approve trading a guy like Marner, right? Like why it's a huge
Didn't no
risk you're
didn't no
taking if you
Dubas
approve that.
won. Dubas like they won the series, and then they had just made it. They
Oh,
had
yes.
just won that first round.
Yeah. Right. So this is my years are just since the
okay.
pandemic, everything is the same year.
I
But anyway,
remember it well because I cut the shorts for Sportsnet
right.
of Brad Treliving's
Right.
him getting hired, and forever the most viewed video I've ever made was Brad Treliving calling Mark Giordano old. It was like 150K views on YouTube
Yep.
Shorts, so
Yeah.
I hold that one with pride that I got to cut that.
Well, we'll see what happens with Toronto, but I mean, the main point of discussion is that Brendan Shanahan did quite a lot of good work
Yeah.
for the organization as a whole. And like running an NHL team or any sports organization is a lot more than just putting the guys on the ice who are playing.
The way I
Like it's
like
a
to think of
lot
it
more.
is it was his time. He did a
Yeah,
good job
absolutely.
overall, but something new is needed.
Yep. Yep. Uh if you could pick one if you oh no.
No, I'm just reading a high-tech Japanese toilet with voice recognition.
Yes.
LED
Yeah.
lights, heated seat, and
Yep.
Bluetooth speakers. Yeah, that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs are.
Yep. Exactly.
I agree 100%.
Ugh. Japanese toilets, the best. If you could pick NHL prospects, a forward and a defenseman in the last 2 to 3 drafts that play my type of hockey, which prospects would you pick and why? Oof, well, let's see. 2023. I don't even remember who goes where.
Adam Fantilli is going to be my forward probably.
Yeah, I'd probably say Fantilli.
But like that's just my style of play. I'd probably still take Connor Bedard, but Adam Fantilli is tough though. Tough.
I mean, Fantilli and Benson, maybe. I want to say I think Demidov is a higher end player than Benson in terms of scoring, but in terms of like how I like the game to be played, I'd say those two. Maybe Celebrini instead of Benson, but definitely Fantilli. Because Fantilli is sick. Leo Carlson would probably be a short list on that.
And
but
we're not
I
talking
won't-
about who's the best. We're just talking
we're
about
not talking about who's the best.
like the style of play that we like.
Yeah. Like Fantilli and maybe Benson. Yeah, like Zach Benson.
But I think Fantilli for sure. Fantilli's just the quintessential 1C of what I'm trying to do.
Yep, I would agree. Yeah. Like I had Celebrini, Demidov, Catton, Lindstrom, Bouillon last year, and I think of all those guys, I'm going with Demidov. But if I had to pick a guy to win a playoff game right now between like Zach Benson and Ivan Demidov, I might go with Benson. But Benson's also in Buffalo,
but
so
he's
maybe
in
we'll
Buffalo,
never see him
so
in
he'll
the
never
playoffs.
win a playoff
Exactly.
game
Yeah.
until he gets traded and wins the Stanley Cup.
I will say though, as a defenseman, Dmitry Simashev is still my boy. That guy can be a defenseman on my team any day of the week, and I think he's coming over. So
Maybe Zeev Bouillon would be the guy for me in the last couple of years in terms of
all right.
defenseman. I'm okay with a little bit.
Oh,
Were you
sorry,
supposed to
it
pick
said
a
one forward,
defenseman?
one defenseman.
Yeah.
Yeah, one forward, one defenseman. So if I had to pick a defenseman,
So you'd go Fantilli
then
Simashev, and
probably
I'd probably go Fantilli Bouillon.
Bouillon would be right there too. Bouillon was my top ranked defenseman last year. But like, yeah,
I gotta be biased. I have my Italian boy and my Jewish boy for both my cultures. All right.
right, yeah. You got to cross those off.
It just worked out that way. It's not. That's not the actual reason, but it just worked out that way.
It did. Yeah.
Again, style of play for us, not necessarily the best players, but like they're definitely close to the top within the last 3 years.
Yeah. Bouchard is the best example in the league of people eye testing individual mistakes between the bigger point. Yes, I agree. How would you define the difference in scouting techniques used by NHL teams used to scout players versus say 5 years ago? I don't think it's changed all that much.
Kind of hard to also know.
Yeah, like
because
teams are different.
We also don't know what teams are thinking now, and we don't get information on how they like what they do to evaluate players necessarily all the time.
There are teams that do things differently, like structurally than the other teams. Like that there's no one way to do this, right? So some teams use video more, some teams don't use video at all, some teams want analytics in the process, some teams don't. So like there's no one way to do it. And I don't have a good detailed understanding of every single team and how they do it. But the patterns, what I do know is on the output side of things, there are patterns of like you see some teams, I think, that are using probability to their advantage. Like I know one team last year was like, there's just take, for example, like a Dean Letourneau. They were like, maybe he is a first round level prospect when we look back on the draft in 5 years. But statistically speaking, the chances of him being worth that kind of a risk are very low.
Mhm.
So why would we bother? Right. Whereas some teams will go, well, but what if this is the chance that, this is the one that works out? Right. Which fair enough. You can't, if you believe that, then you believe that. But
Yep.
there are teams out there who looked at that scenario and went, yeah, but we don't have the track record to go off of that showcases us being comfortable with this, right? So some teams use a lot of probability to their advantage, I guess you could say, where whether it's with like, I know there are teams out there that are a lot more open, at least up until this season, a lot more open with like, well, we'll draft a re-entry OHLer, even though they get like 1 or 2 years with them with their rights, and then they have to see at least 1 year maybe with their rights, and then they have to decide what to do with them. Um, or, you have teams that might go, well, what if we could find a very similar player that plays in like Sweden and we get their rights for 4 years and maybe they're not a re-entry and they're just a bigger swing and it's the fifth round anyway. So who cares? Like
Or if you're
teams think
Carolina,
about,
let's go to Russia.
or yeah, if you're Carolina, just draft a bunch of Russians and then you never lose their rights. I think this year will be very interesting though, with the way teams draft, where I mean, there's not a small part of me that thinks the teams are just going to go heavy, 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 heavy into the CHL because they now know that they can just send them to college instead of we have them in the CHL for a year or two and then we have to decide what they do. I think there's going to be a lot of teams out there who go, okay, now we can draft all the CHL guys that we wanted but didn't want to spend a draft pick on earlier.
I bet
And I
you
feel
this
like
year, or you continue your point.
I was
My
going to say, I
apologies.
feel like this year we're going to see some Europeans go later than they probably should, because I think a lot of teams are going to look at this and go, okay, we have a lot more leeway with Canadian Hockey League players, and a lot of these US guys are going to go to North America or go to Canada maybe and play in the CHL. So we can afford to dip our toe in that well a little more, stick the bucket down the well and see what comes up. Like, I don't know. I mean, would I do that? I don't think so. But I feel like that's the way it's going to go. And it also helps if you're tall. That's always the thing too.
That's
Is
what I was going to say. I think
I come away.
this year is going to be a lot of big right-handed shot guys that are getting drafted who you just go, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yep.
It's
I
going to be
think
a
so
lot of
too.
that.
And I mean, it happens every year, right? Like the logic from a lot of teams, from what I can gather, whether I have knowledge of this or just from data that I gather on the draft, it's like teams seem to go, if they're tall and whatever, then we can work with that.
They're tall and
We don't if
right-handed.
And it's like, if they are a fourth liner in the future, then we win with the draft pick, which is fair, right? Like, a lot of guys don't work out anyway, so you may as well draft the safest options, so to speak, rather than the guys that are like further along in their development and may have some gaps in their game, rather than guys where it's like, well, let's try to develop their game around the sort of
Also,
natural frame.
how many picks do you get as an individual scout within your region? Like,
Yeah.
your job security is reliant on who's the guy you picked who's on the roster and you can point to. No. I got this guy who's playing on our roster now. So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of safety in picks just because you want to be able to point to somebody and say, yep, but I got this guy. Like, you can't get
Yep.
rid of me. This is a guy who's
Yep.
useful for us. Even if he is lower in the lineup, you just try
Or
for more certainty.
or you can hedge your bets in your mind of like, well, yeah, he was 6'6" though. So like, yeah, he didn't work out, but like he could have. And it's like, it's easy to say that about a guy who's 6'6" as opposed to 5'10", where it's like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like he was bad. It just didn't work out. It's like, well, at least with the 6'6" guy, it's like, oh, he just didn't develop well enough. He just didn't come along far enough. And it's like, unfortunately, it's way easier to save your job with the latter than going, well, yeah, I mean, we liked this small skilled guy who played a really high end game, but at the pro level, he just was physically outmatched, and working out in the gym, it didn't come far enough, right? Like, I don't know. It's really not as simple as it sounds, like, to dig through all of this and like make the right decision. But what I do know is that there are teams out there that focus a little bit more on playing the odds in a more logical, statistical way, rather than playing the odds in a way that I think promotes like job security, which is like, if we draft big kids, if we draft these rangy guys and they don't work out, it's way easier to pitch that I should keep my job
Or a coach will
than
definitely play this guy.
or a coach will play this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to keep a job than it is to sort of sit back and go, well, I think this kid could be really good, but there are flaws and there's a chance they don't work out, right? Like you don't want to have that as your pitch, really, even though that's probabilistically the a better way to go. And I
Yeah.
think that you look at certain teams and they have guys down their lineup that are chipping in, guys that do that kind of thing.
Like, I think if you and I ran a team, we would not worry about getting fourth liners and bottom pair defensemen in the draft, and that would be all free agency type thing. Like, the bottom end of our lineup would be, not that we'd say no to guys who we think would be useful, but I think we'd put more resources into or not resources, but just we'd have a bigger focus on, let's swing on upside a bit more in the draft, and guys who we think, or the guys who play our brand of hockey, and then the guys who are more defensive minded or lower end in the lineup, you just sign. You just try and find guys at good value. Like, you'd still scout those guys, but it'd be through like free agency as opposed to the draft.
Yeah,
because I want more certainty. I want to see a guy who's closer to the level of an NHL player when I'm going for like the bottom end of my lineup too.
Yep. And I mean, through it all, I'm looking at team scouching in my drafted prospect tracker, which is accessible through a partner subscription on scouching.ca. I mean, it is my mathematics behind it, but
So it's
team
biased
scouching,
towards him.
yeah, it's biased towards me. Team scouching is the number one system in the league, even though like it's obviously a little more complicated than that because there's only 26 players on the list, and a team like San Jose, which is number 2, Anaheim number 3, Seattle number 4, they're all 33 or higher, so there's more players there. But I mean, it means that like with a smaller selection, they're doing pretty well. They're just, there's nobody blowing the doors off, but it was Lane Hudson this year leading the way. But the other guys on this team that I had, and again, this is using Toronto's draft picks, so there's not that many high picks here. But Hudson is on the list. Kieran Walton is here. Tobias Hunanen is on the list. Teddy Stiga, Luke Misa. I can't believe people aren't talking a little bit more about Ludwig Johnson, who was in the National League most of the year this year and was on the national team camp for the World Championships and got cut from a team that went to the gold medal. Like even Thomas Galvish had a good year that was above average in the metrics. Like, how many guys here were above the average for prospect value in my model? 13 of them, as out of 13 out of 27, and one of them played 0 games this year. But like, who were they? Tyler Duke, Gavin Brindley was average bang on. Alexis Gendron, who had 20 goals in the AHL this year. Daniel Niemanen, hopefully he gets picked, I guess. Yuri Tahacek, Tomas Galvish, Yegor Klimovic, Ludwig Johnson, Luke Misa, Teddy Stiga, Tobias Hunanen, Kieran Walton, and Lane Hudson. Like, yeah, you could look at that and go, yeah, they're kind of small, so like, who knows about the NHL? But I don't know. All those guys I'll bet on. I'll bet on those guys to crack an NHL roster and figure something out. And hopefully Gavin Brindley has a bounce back year next year, because I don't believe that he forgot how to play hockey.
He'll have a bounce back.
Anyway,
year. He's Gavin Brindley.
Let's go. Let's continue. In your opinion, Mayu, Dickinson, or Yakinchuk? Dickinson to me. Yes. Who are the 2025 NHL draft class's biggest improvements from the start of the year and biggest regressions? I mean, honestly, I can't say any other name but Ryabkin for regressions. I don't think there's been a single player this year who I watched last year and this year and came away going, I think this player is worse than they were last year. I don't think there's very many of those. But the biggest improvement from the start of the year, I would say, like, I'd put like Hensler on that list. Hagens, I think, has come a really long way. There was one other. Oh, Bill Zonon, I should say. I should get his Quebecois name down because he's Bill, but his last name is Quebecois. Zonon, I'd say him too. Yeah, those ones probably. Noah Dobson is a less extreme version of the Bouchard paradox. That is true. I agree. People want him off the team when he's carrying bums and is a number 1 D on half the teams in the league. That's true. Which season is more impressive, Hudson's or Bedard's rookie seasons? Ooh.
I think I have to go Lane.
Yeah,
but
I think I do too. The job Bedard has is more difficult.
Yes,
but Hudson was
around him.
Well, that and like Hudson can stick out on the power play, and that's really where he shines. Bedard, do you ideally think he could there too? But
Lane Hudson elevated his team where they got in the playoffs. Like that,
certainly didn't hurt.
you gotta
20,
you gotta give him that, and I think
the
that's
fact,
ultimately why I pick Lane Hudson.
yes, I mean the fact that Bedard is younger
Mm-hmm.
is also something to keep in mind.
It
But I mean, in
is.
terms of NHL output last year and NHL output from Hudson this year, I think you have to go Hudson, even though he has the advantage of being older.
Yeah, and we're not here to like be a part of this. Oh, Connor Bedard, super
Bust.
overrated bust
Connor
trade.
Bedard.
I think you especially were more hesitant with him being like this excellent player immediately,
Yeah.
but we still think he's a great player. He just needs some other guys around him. He's not a player who's going to drive the bus for himself, but offensively, like the tools he has, the talent, it's undeniable. It's just harnessing that in a way that's going to put him in a position to score more and put line mates around him that are going to get him the puck.
Well, I think Greg had a really good take on Bedard,
Yeah.
right? And I think our discussion around Bedard and Celebrini was really interesting. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what we said about a guy like Bedard, where it's the difference between talent and structure. Like Bedard is a player who is supremely talented and one of the best individual players out there, probably.
Yeah.
But that's not enough in the NHL, right? Like you need to diversify and settle in and have some experience. And that's why I think at the end of the day, like if I'm Chicago, I'm thinking long term. Bedard is a first line winger. Like that's my thought, is that Bedard is, you take him away from that defensive situation, you put him with some better guys up the middle who can win faceoffs and play hard in front of the net and do the grunt work.
Or
And then you let Bedard go out there and be friggin' Mitch Marner, but shooting. Like,
or what you do is you find a more defensively responsible winger because he can still play middle of
sure,
the ice offensively. Like maybe
yeah,
that's something he needs to do to be at his best offensively, is have the middle of the ice. So
yeah,
just find somebody else to be the F3, but he can still play center.
yeah.
But maybe
I
you
agree.
leave, or maybe even like you could even alleviate the face-off duties from him if that's not something you find that he's cut out to do.
I think he's been one of the worst face-off takers in the league for
Well,
2 years
he's
running.
an undersized guy who's,
Yeah,
you know,
19.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's a
it's
kid.
not.
He can't even drink in America.
Yeah.
Like he's
No
still
wonder
a
he
kid.
can't win a face-off.
He needs to be drinking in the intermissions like real men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember Ales Hemsky? Zhuravsky reminds me of him a little bit. I mean, I do remember Ales Hemsky. I could see that. Yeah, sure. Zhuravsky. The only thing is that Ales Hemsky was not playing in the worst level of hockey in Russian junior hockey. Like that's the difference. And I feel like it's really tricky to project Zhuravsky, but play style, sure, I could see that.
Mhm.
If you had your pick, which NHL team's prospect pool would you want to be the GM of for the next 3 to 5 years?
Maybe
Team Scouching. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe Columbus.
Probably Seattle.
Seattle's good. Oh, what?
I'd say
What team? Oh,
Seattle.
what team you would take in the next couple of
Yeah.
years for picks?
Oh, for picks.
Is that what that is?
Is it? I didn't. I don't read. Which team's prospect pool would you want to be the GM of for the next 3 to 5 years?
Because I think that might be.
I mean, it could factor in, right? Like, but it says pool. Like, yeah. I mean, Seattle still does have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds this year.
Hell yeah.
Montreal maybe is the one that I might want to get a hold of. Anaheim maybe. Oh.
Yeah.
Try to fix Buffalo. I don't know.
But Will, you're forgetting the quintessential issue. There's no palm trees.
You have to play in Buffalo? Yeah, true.
I'm just gonna quote that forever. I think it is so stupid that Kevin Adams would say that. There's no palm trees here. No, I'm sorry. Look, Kevin. Not that I think you're stupid or anything, but that's a stupid thing to say. That is one of the there's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard said. There's no palm trees. Like that's the problem. Nobody comes to Buffalo because Buffalo never wins.
I
at
will
least
say this.
anymore.
I would rather play a full career in Buffalo than in Edmonton.
Oh, okay. I think you're gonna say
And
Florida,
Edmonton,
but you're
no.
also gonna say Florida because
Oh
you hate
no!
Florida.
Look, if I had to choose between Buffalo and Florida, I'm probably God, it's just so humid. I mean, look at my hair.
You might
This is
even
when it's
still be able
cold.
to live where you are now if you wanted to play in Buffalo. It's not that
That's
far
true.
from where you are,
I could.
honestly.
I definitely could. But I mean, look, like Edmonton is in the Final Four, and Rand will say as well that city is a bit of a wasteland. So, all due respect to the Edmonton Oilers and their fans, but Edmonton is
But your
not seen as
economy is built on Connor McDavid.
not a particularly desirable location in which to live, according to most human beings in Canada, I would think.
Calgary's a
Anyway,
much better city. It is much better.
I got friends moving there. They're moving to
Calgary's
Calgary. They're
cool.
leaving Ottawa. They're leaving Ontario.
Sorry,
they're going to
Ryan.
Calgary.
Calgary's cool.
I think he would agree. I think he would agree with you on that.
He's never agreed with me when I've said it, but
He's probably lying.
Might be out of denial.
I think that's cope. Any opinion on Nilsson going to Michigan State? Yes, it's great. They got a loaded group of guys for next year. And so, yeah, I look forward to Eric Nilsson being very good there and feeling pretty good because he might get drafted too late and he's going to be good there. What's better for Michael Misa, playing in the NHL next year or Boston University in the NCAA? I'd say NCAA. I don't think there's any reason to rush any hockey player to the NHL whatsoever, ever. Why? Right? Like, look at Connor Bedard in the NHL. He was seen as the elitist of the elite that has ever
seen
eluded.
As a generational prospect.
Yeah, and if in retrospect, if you said, well, okay, obviously you don't want to send him back to Regina, but if instead he could go to Michigan for a year, you might want to see him do that first, maybe for a season as a stepping stone before you throw him into the NHL. But that's obviously retrospect. But I don't think in this day and age, in the 2020s, there is any reason to throw anybody directly into the NHL literally the season after they're drafted. The only way I could see a way around that is if they are like a dominant KHL player or SHL player or something at 17 or 18. Like even William Eklund. William Eklund probably had the best professional season of any prospect in the last few years, and even he took a little while to get moving in the NHL. So yeah, I don't think there's.
I remember him getting the trial because I remember the picture of him looking sad when he got sent back.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. After Schaefer, who's the next best defensive prospects? I mean, for me, the next one is Logan Hensler. Then Jackson Smith, Reddy Murtka, and Blake Fiddler. Those guys are all in the same tier for me. I like Hensler the most because I feel like he's kind of the best at playing the position, sort of. But Smith, I think, has more talent, like more abilities, but is not as well put together as Hensler. And Murtka is a wild card. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not super thrilled with a whole bunch of the defensemen in this year's draft. It's not the most promising group this season, especially relative to what we got last year.
Beyond Matthew Schaefer, just to make it very clear
beyond
everybody.
Matthew Schaefer. Yes, Schaefer was very good. Sorry to talk about Aitchison again. I've watched him a lot recently, and I've heard people like his speed. I think he needs an extra stride though when it comes to his defending. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I tracked a game of Aitchison. His report is coming. I am doing a report on him. And the game I did was a game against Niagara in the playoffs, and they steamrolled them. So much so that it feels like it could not possibly not be an outlier, because other games than that, I've tracked them playing teams like London and Oshawa and other teams like that. And I did one game against Owen Sound, and that's the only game where he came away 50-50. They played Kitchener in one of the games, and I think his shot differential or his shot possession percentage was 9. Like they just got filled in. And against Niagara, they just did whatever they wanted to the Niagara Ice Dogs in that game, and it was not even close. So I have one more game to do of him before I start putting the video together. I mean, look, he's on my list now. I'll say that. He is on the list, but it doesn't really matter where I put him because he's going to be gone before I would take him anyway. So I don't know. Look, I think that the defending is the area of the game with him that I think is the most troubling. Like the number of times I've seen play sort of slowly entering the neutral zone, and by the time it reaches the red line, he's like 6 feet in front of his own goaltender. Like it's so often that I'm like, either you're told to do this by someone who's not very smart, or you're just this is how you do it. This is just how you defend, and you just let the game, the epitome of letting the game come to you. Like, I don't know. I don't think his speed is really number one with a defenseman. I don't think pure speed is the most important thing in the world anyway. But also, I don't think it's like something that I would consider a hallmark of his personally.
How
Can
do you
you
actually
compare
feel
and
about his tools, though? Like, just him as an
they're
athletic
fine.
guy.
They're fine. Like he's a decent pass slinger. He puts some good energy behind his passes. He if he keeps it simple, he can be pretty effective, right? Like he makes decent reads in his own end, just chipping pucks around the boards. Like those basics, he can do it, right? But again, I'm also coming off of seeing game from him that is extraordinarily different from every other time I've
No,
seen
that's
him.
fair.
And so it's like I'm still not really totally sure, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I
just
don't
wanted to know just based on like what you thought of his athletic ability because it's like not
yeah,
that he's a similar player to Seth Jones in any ways, but like I was a big non-fan of Seth Jones for a while.
right.
But
Well, I mean, hey,
there was always a lot of talent with Seth Jones, and now that he's in the right spot, it makes like he's playing incredibly well.
right.
Not saying that this is going to happen to Kashawn Agerson. It's just I wanted to
Let
ask you
me
that because it was a blind spot for me at one point.
right. Well, let me see here. I mean, Seth Jones's career has also gone a certain way.
Yep.
Um, and again, it's that thing. I've said this before. It's like it seems like a player who will get a contract that then people will hold him to a higher standard and things will get different. Like, let me see here. Yeah, like in this game, his team in this game, the shot attempts were 40-12 with him on the ice. They took
In
22
favor,
from the
correct?
yes, they took 22 from the perimeter in that game. Barry did. He had 9 shot assists, and in the other
Oh,
games I've done in total, he's had 5. So he almost doubled his other like it was
holy
he had
crap!
he had 40 shot attempts in this game, and in all the other games I've tracked of him, he's had 63 total. So in one game, he got about 40% of the shot attempts for his team. Like his team had 40% of the shot attempts he's had in the total sample that I have of him so far.
What was the
So,
individual shot attempt like as well? Just out of
well,
curiosity.
that's the other thing. He's only shot the puck 9 times in the games I've done.
Well, that's not bad,
Uh, and
honestly.
that's not on net. Like those
Oh,
are just shot attempts.
okay. How many of
9 times in 6 games, and 2 of them were in 2 of the 2 ones that weren't from the perimeter were against Niagara in this game I just did. One of them he scored. So like I don't know, you have yeah, like he had 13 controlled exits from his own end. In the other games I've done, he's had 27 total. Like
Oh,
it was just insane the numbers that he was putting up in this game to the point where I'm just like Niagara just did not look like they showed up to play hockey. Like it just was not even close because I'm looking at all these other games and the differentials, 15-21 shot attempts, 2-19, 14-35, like, and those were against good teams, right? Like Brampton, Kitchener, Oshawa. Anyway, I've got one more game. We're going to get there with him, but I don't know. To answer the question, yeah, there are areas of improvement in that area.
but
Can
at
you
least
compare
he's
and
ranked
contrast?
now.
Yes, he is. Can you compare and contract 2 fast prospects? They're like Cullen Potter and Oliver Moore. Oliver Moore is more of I think he was smarter, a better playmaker for sure, and a better defensive player. Like he's more of a 200-foot guy. Like I feel like Oliver Moore being a great third line center or a second line winger, I think makes a lot of sense. Potter is probably a top 6 forward of some kind that is more offensive zone focused and, transition focused in his like carrying ability
Hmm.
more so than Moore. But in transition, I think they're similar, especially offensively. But in terms of actually playing the game in a dependable, reliable way, I think I'd put my money on Moore. But I think Potter has like a higher end shot, higher end skill, but still putting the whole thing together is still a bit of a question mark right now. Um, I've heard teams are willing to give Bennett 10 million as more of a system player with the Panthers. I think so. I think you give Sam Bennett $10 million and the magic just might not be there. I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. I think the environment with Florida with Paul Maurice running the show is just something special. I think they just buy in, they have their play style
And
and
he
they go out and
fits.
play 60 minutes and he fits it perfectly as he is right now. Like I don't know. It's a lot of money to spend on a risk like that to me. Have you seen Walter Lindbergh this year? I have. Skellefteå guy. Skellefteå. Yeah, so this is a re-entry guy. I mean, he's not on my list. I have seen him play in the SHL this season. I don't know if I draft him. I know he's ranked. I'm trying to remember what my thoughts were on him because I have seen a couple of games of him in the SHL, but I remember him. It's like you're 5'10" in a center, and it's like the bar for that is really high, and I'm not sure he has the speed, pace, and skill to like really do it. But he is very creative, and like there's a lot to think is kind of neat there. And maybe he's a guy that if he goes undrafted again, I might give him a camp invite and see what he does, or circle back next year if he has a really good year in Sweden playing pro full time. I don't know. But yeah, he's solid. You know, like if you wanted to throw a 7th round pick at him, like I guess I wouldn't get in your way depending on who's there. But I could see why teams are a little bit hesitant on him, even if he was a huge scorer in under 20. Are the Leafs the Buffalo Bills of the NHL?
No, the Leafs are more like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan as well.
Yeah. When Cowan was at his best in the CHL, is he the best CHLer? I mean, he's up there in terms of like smartest passer. Yes, I think so. Yes, I would say so. Yeah, definitely. Not like entirely all around in the game, I'd say, but like when he's really cooking, the passing work from him is brilliant. Really, really good. How big of a reach would it be if San Jose drafted Marton at 2 over Misa? Not that big, but it would be a very big surprise to me. Like I could see why you might do it, but it would be a surprise. I would be very surprised.
Just take Misa. I like both those guys. I like both those guys personally too. Haven't talked to both of them, but I think you just take the genius center, like the hockey genius center, and then you have Celebrini, Misa, and you have a 1-2 punch that is going to be really hard to contend or compete with, or on like in the league even eventually.
Yeah. Right. Rank these 4 defense prospects based on ceilings: Simashev, Nikishin, Casey, and Dickinson. Pretty standard, but shots, hits, and blocks count.
So this is for fantasy related.
Yeah, I would think you go with Dickinson, and then Nikishin, then Casey, or Simashev. Like
the thing is with Simashev though, is he could be like he could be a big time Bangos defenseman. Yep. And when I say Bangos, I mean hits and blocks.
Yep. He probably will be. I don't know how much offense you're going to get out of him though.
Yeah, and
Dickinson is going to play a lot of minutes though. Like he'll play a lot, and he'll be on a team that's still kind of building. So I feel like he'll get a lot of time to block shots and throw hits.
Yeah. Like I almost
Casey,
feel like,
I don't think I get for those categories.
I almost feel like you want, when going for defensemen, you almost want the best floor when it comes to fantasy hockey, because so much of it is tied to who's getting power play time. And are any of these guys primed to get power play time? Maybe Sam Dickinson.
Yeah.
Maybe
Nikishin. Maybe.
But Scott Morrow.
Yeah.
And Shane Gostisbehere. And Carolina just seems to bring in guys all the time that are going to fulfill that role.
Yep. Probably.
So I don't know. I feel like Casey's at the bottom of that list for me.
Yeah.
I think Simashev could get, like, I don't think he's going to get any power play time, but he should give you a good floor, because I feel like Dmitry Simashev is going to come into the league, and you're going to see all these Sportsnet glaze spots on him in like 5 years, where it's like, this guy plays so many minutes a night, and he's just playing in Utah. Nobody talks about him. Yeah. He's like one of the better defensive players in the league now, and like he's just going to get glazed to all hell.
That's true. Yep.
But I think Dickinson, you go number 1. Maybe Simashev, Nikishin, Casey.
Yeah, I think I would do the same.
The
middle 2, I think you could swap. I might go Nikishin, but either one, I'd say. what's your opinion on Jackson Smith? Very good skater, really skilled, but really tricky player to watch. Like, not the best decision maker, not the greatest defensive zone player either. Tries to close out a lot of gaps himself and just can't really do it a lot. I don't know, super high talent level, and I think his development is going to be the big thing between now and the NHL, whenever that is. Who do you think will be the most unjustified faller in the draft? I mean, to me, I think it depends, right? Like, if Cullen Potter goes 30, I would say Cullen Potter. But if he goes like 12 or 15, then probably not. But realistically, like, I feel like Carter Bear could slip pretty far. Like, an Achilles injury might freak people out. But that, I guess, that isn't like unjustified. It depends on what your definition of justified is, I guess. Like, if a guy like Braden Coots goes in the second round or something, then I feel like that might be a little bit unjustified outside of him not being very big. Ben Kindle outside the first round would not surprise me, but it would be unjustified, I think. I don't know. It's a good question though. But I mean, we'll find out. I'm sure I'm wrong because it'll be someone I am not mentioning at all. Because there's also a lot of guys that I think could slip out of the first round that it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like guys like Cam Schmidt kind
What
of
about
thing.
Ben Kindle? What do you think about that
Yeah,
potentially?
I could see him slip out of the first round, I think. I could. I don't think it's likely, but I think it could happen.
Well, it's just says the
Um
most unjustified faller. It
yeah.
doesn't say like the
Yeah,
first round isn't.
unjustified. Yeah, like there would be some justification, but past a certain point, I'm just like, okay, like that's a little silly. We're getting a
Cool.
little crazy here. Um, from a fantasy perspective, rank these three defensemen: Nemec, Zellweger, and Edvinson. Well, Edvinson is already like a top pair guy, so that's an easy one.
He is a top pair guy, but he's not a power play guy.
But is Anaheim going to put Zellweger on the power play when they've got like Lacombe already there?
Yeah,
I think,
this is
and
it's
they've got
honestly this is a really tough one.
yeah. Nemec, I mean, Nemec couldn't stick it on the team in general this year,
And they
even with
have
all
Luke
the injuries.
Hughes and
And
they
they've
have
got
Dougie
Dougie
Hamilton,
Hamilton. Like, he's not gonna. This is.
but he could get
I hate to say
traded.
I told you so, but this is why I said Nemec might not have been the right pick at second overall that year. It's like, okay, you got your Luke Hughes, you've got you got your toys, but now you have a guy that's kind of on the outs that you pick second overall. I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, Edvinson might not play on the power play, but
But he
is
also,
Zellweger, like, I don't know.
I feel like upside upside probably Nemeth, but like the most solid, reliable floor is going to be Edvinson. Like these guys all have. I think Edvinson, you kind of know what you're going to get. Zellweger and Nemeth, you don't know really at this
I
point.
agree.
So it's really tough to rank them. If so, you want to go safe, go Edvinson. If you want to go and just hope for something to happen, maybe a trade, Nemeth. But Zellweger could
Yeah.
play on the power play too. Like that's the other thing. It's possible. I don't know what Anaheim's doing with the defenseman. I really don't.
Yeah. Yep.
Waiting, and I mean that in terms of who's going to step up and be their number one power play guy, because they have some guys. They have a couple guys in the mix that they could give it to, and I also don't know if they'll keep Zellweger around. I'm hopeful for him. I'd love to see Zellweger run that power play, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Where are we here? Let's keep it moving. Why do you think there has been a huge drop in the number of Quebec-born players making the NHL? Because the resources for teams out in the Maritimes at the youth group level is just not the same as it's just not the same as it is in Ontario and Alberta, even, and BC. Like, the resources are not there, so the Maritimes makes it's a lot more difficult at that point. In Quebec, I mean, a lot of it, I think, is like a style of play thing. Like, I think that the old school mentality in Quebec of like the more resistant to change world is like very prevalent there. Like, I just look at the OHL quality of play and the WHL's quality of play, and then I go to the QMJHL, and it's not the same style of play, right? Like, I was talking to someone a little while ago who's part of a team that went to a Memorial Cup recently,
and they were a team that was like quite heavily favored to win, and they lost to a team in Quebec, I think, in the either the semifinal or the final. They lost to the team that was from the Quebec League, and he said that what they were talking about as a game plan there, and when they finished the game and were eliminated, and they were looking at the tape and seeing what happened, the only explanation they could think of was that they were injured. Like, not the opponent, the team in question they were coaching was injured and banged up, and they had fought a lot to get to the Memorial Cup. But the other team played exactly the same way that they had since the QMJHL third round. Like, there was no real shift in terms of like, okay, this guy's playing a little differently because he's injured, and maybe this guy's injured, or maybe this and this and this, or like the hitting wasn't as like the amount that you're worn down in Quebec, according to this person. This is not me. This person was thinking the amount that they were physically worn down was just not as high as it was in the other leagues. So, and I think that watching this, I kind of believe that. Watching all of these leagues all year long, I kind of believe that. So when you get guys in Quebec, and it is true, like there has been a drop in kids coming from the Quebec League to the NHL. And I think in the draft, there's not many Quebec guys that I really, really, really believe in outside. I mean, this year is a bit of an anomaly now. Like, there are a few that I have really liked. But at the end of the day, like, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that the WHL and the OHL have really ramped up the resources they're giving teams. The level of competition has gotten a lot better. I think Quebec is at a better advantage now because kids in New England go to Quebec. And I feel like before there was a lot of non-incentive for a kid from, say, Massachusetts to go play in Quebec, right? Like, oh my God, I have to pack up and leave my house in Boston and go live in Val d'Or or Rimouski, and everyone's going to speak French and like resent me for not speaking French. Like, I'm not going there. So that automatically dilutes the pool. Whereas if you live in like Illinois, you get to go to Ontario, you get to go to Guelph, you get to go to whatever, and it's a perfectly fine switch. Or if you live in California or Washington, you go to Saskatoon or something, right? Like, the cultural shift is not as drastic. So there's a lot that goes on there. But now I think that now that you have American kids who will be able to go up there and still go to college, that I think could really benefit those leagues, that league out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will improve. That should improve over time. Thoughts on overagers Del Elce, Francesco Del Elce, and Charlie Serrato? I really like Serrato. I could see Serrato being a really nice late round pick. If he came up and I was working for a team, I would not say no. Del Elce I'm not as familiar with, but I mean, he's been okay when I've seen him, but I haven't seen him a ton, so I can't really speak too much on that. Rank these young centers in terms of NHL ceiling: Wright, Lambert, Yager, Lindstrom, Ritchie. Well, realistically speaking, I mean, Wright is already a middle six guy in the NHL. Yep. I think he looks right there. Right. I'd say for different reasons, Lambert and Lindstrom are interchangeable. And then Yager and Ritchie, I think, are also interchangeable. I might put Ritchie in that. Yeah. Like,
but who's got the highest ceiling? Well, that's what the question's about.
I'd say Shane Wright. But if Lindstrom's injuries get sorted out and things work out, I feel like he could have the highest upside. Like, with the size and the physicality and the puck possession skill and the shooting ability. Like, if things work out with him, I think he has the highest upside of all of them, but injuries could obviously limit that. My two favorite prospects of the Blackhawks are Higgins and Desnoyers. Help me choose one of them. Do you take Higgins?
Yep.
There you go. AJ has been thinking about hurting children ever since you got asked about. Yeah, that's true. Do you like the NHL Edge data platform?
No, it's just because I've had to watch a lot of America's Funniest Home Video for my job. Yeah. Like, literally, it's just a bunch of children getting hit in the face with objects from when I was 8 years old, because I've been having to watch like the whole 2009 season to quality check it for air.
One thing I've discovered is 3-hour-long Jeopardy marathons of old questions, just the questions being asked. So that's been fun little watching for me when I'm up way too late at night. I'll just watch Jeopardy and play along because that's the kind of person I am.
Sounds like you need a game TV subscription. Help pay my wage, please.
Yeah. Do you like the NHL Edge's data platform? Yes. Actually, when I was in Columbus and they had a panel of analytics people, they did say that people meme on the NHL for a long time, and rightfully so, about their data, their data service. But the data quality you get from the NHL now is really good. Like it's really good. So if you build, like, one of my projects this summer is to work with NHL data a little bit more and try to build some tools that use this data a little bit more. Um, I think you have to be very careful with it, but I do think it is very, very helpful. Like, and the data the league gives you now, if you play around with it the right way, it's very, very good. Do you think the media is too hard on the Hawks, considering they aren't far off where the Sharks are right now and the vibes around them are good? Yeah, I think you have to kind of be patient with
Media
Chicago.
is
Like I wouldn't,
always hard on teams because they need
yeah,
headlines, they need to generate clicks. Like it's just
that
kind of
too.
the way it goes. You're
Yeah,
always going to be There's always going to like media is always going to add a ton of negative noise because they are just going for whatever people will click on.
yeah.
Like you got to have people read your stuff and listen to what you're saying, and the
I,
easiest way to do that is to state an extreme.
yeah. I think that if I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan, I don't know if you are, but like I watched a bit of the Chicago Blackhawks down the stretch because they were playing so many of their young guys. I'm optimistic. Like I think Connor Bedard is still a bit of a work in progress, but seeing what the whole group of young guys together looked like, Oliver Moore, even Artem Levshinov, even though I'm not the hugest fan of him, like he still had some good moments for that team. And who else was playing? Frank Nazar also had a great world championship. Shout out to the American team for beating the Swiss there in that game. That was crazy. Tage Thompson, overtime winner, big win. But like Nazar will be there next year. Bedard will be back. Like they have bits and pieces that should at least give you some hope, right? Like if this team goes out and everybody has a 20-point season and they have the worst year of all time, then maybe, yeah, there's like a little bit of kind of moments. But I think, Sam Renzel was the other one. Like all those guys, I thought all chipped in and looked pretty good in their own kind of way and showed a really bright, promising future for them.
Takes a while to
We'll see.
to
Yeah, yeah, and
turn
it takes
things
a
around.
yeah. Maybe the vibes could be better, but again, in San Jose, they have palm trees. Chicago, they don't have palm trees. So, you know,
Yeah,
the
that's the
last
difference.
teams, the last major pro sports teams to make the playoffs in at least 9 straight years: the Dodgers, Astros, apparently that includes this season, Bucks, Celtics, Chiefs, and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. But people in Toronto, it's like
You
it's
can
not the fact
probably
that they
attach an
lose, it's
asterisk
how.
to the Leafs because they didn't technically make the playoffs. They made the play in, but that was a
Right.
weird
The
year.
Columbus
But
thing,
they would
that
have made
was
the playoffs. So,
yep.
but yeah, the
Yeah.
Leafs have the longest playoff streak of all the teams in the NHL currently, which is remarkable. It's
Yep.
kind of crazy to think
Um,
about that.
yeah. Last stream you said it would be best for Dickinson to go to the NCAA, but since he signed his ELC, he can't. Really? If you signed an entry level deal, you can't go to college? Even now? I didn't know that. Well, in that case, I don't know. Probably the NHL. Like, I don't know what else. Like, does he go to the OHL and do what? Play 30 minutes a night and do the same thing he did this year? I don't know. He's been good at the Memorial Cup. Like, see, I don't know. I,
I
this is the
mean,
tough thing about drafting CHL
let's
players.
look at the San Jose
He
Sharks
he could
roster.
replace one of the guys they have on their defense group.
Yeah,
That's
that's
for
what I'm
sure.
thinking.
He could do it. Is it going to be beneficial and move the team in the right direction? I don't know, but I guess if you still have one more year where you just want to be this, like, yep, we don't care if we lose, it's about learning, then sure, I could see it. Then the NHL probably makes a lot of sense.
Okay, let me quickly look, see who he could replace. Henry Thrun is the top pairing defenseman with Timothy Liljegren as of
Yeah.
as of
You could
April
give Dickinson a
16th.
job. You could do it.
Lucas
I wouldn't expect him.
Carlson, Jimmy Schultz, I've never heard
Yeah.
of, like, I
I
don't think
wouldn't
I've heard of
expect him-
anybody on the left side of this.
I would keep my expectations about him very limited and reserved
Yes.
and calm, but he could have some fun moments. He could score some good points for you. It could be fun. Who knows?
Yeah.
What's the next EU4 achievement you're chasing? I don't know. What is it?
It's honestly one that I probably should have already had, but it's a fine goose step. It's forming Prussia and having 125 discipline. Just Prussia's so boring to me. I like having gov capacity, all right? I don't like that playing Prussia has my gov capacity that I'm overpaying for everything. But their military is really fun, so That's the one I'm
Uh,
chasing.
yeah. Is Carter Bear a center or a winger? I think realistically he's a winger. I think he could play center if his play style is the way it is,
But
but I feel like I'd be
why?
more comfortable with him as a winger.
Just
Yeah,
put him
I
on
would
the
put him as a
wing.
winger.
He
Yeah,
gets to play. He can play more of an F1 role and be
yep.
really intense. And
Just go for it.
yeah,
Sharks have the Dallas first round pick and the 33rd pick, assuming Dallas doesn't win the cup. And you have 29th or 30th. Would you swing on a forward before drafting a right hand defenseman? I mean, yes, this year, like you're 30th overall, and generally the best players available at 30th overall are not
small
defensemen.
forward.
It's usually a small forward that's slipped. Like if Cullen Potter's there, I draft him. If Bill Zonin is there, he's not small, but I draft him. Eric Nilsson, I draft him.
Ben Kindle, maybe?
Yeah, if Ben Kindle's there, I would probably take him, but I'm a lot less confident in him than the other guys, I'd say. Even though I love Ben Kindle. Yeah, those guys for sure. Like if Blake Fiddler is there, then maybe, if Jackson Smith by some miracle falls all the way there, then maybe I'd think about a defenseman. But other than that,
I still think
yeah.
defensemen are going to be reached on just because
Yes,
teams
they always are.
love defensemen.
Yep. Panthers power play against the Leafs was 17%, and now it's 44 against the Canes. Oh my goodness, imagine that.
It's almost like the Leafs are a really good team that ran into the Florida Panthers.
Again.
Yeah.
Why is the industry so behind on Ben Kindle? He's a top 15 player in the draft. I mean, I have him at 17 right now, which is lower than he was.
So you've dropped him quite a bit.
Yep, a little bit. He was at 10 in the mid-season ranking for me, but now he's at 17. I mean, I think the biggest explanation, and again, I've recorded the report on him, so it's in production. And watching all of his video back, he is very Easton Cowan-like, where it's like the pace of his game and the sort of like real physical energy, especially off the puck, is not really there yet. And he's going to need to be there. Like he's obviously, I think, one of the smartest and most creative players in the draft in terms of passing the puck. He drives unbelievable metrics for me, like in every single game I've done, except the last one I did where it was a playoff game against Medicine Hat. And I think he plays his best hockey playing center this season. Like when he was on the wing, I thought he was way worse and it really limited his ability to play. But he also doesn't really have really high end sort of speed and the size to offset that in a way. So I feel like teams are looking at that and going, if we have any doubts about this guy being an NHL player worth taking in the top 15, why would we do it? And I think that's reasonable, but I still would bet on him. He's the type of player that I think I would interview and really like, and I think he would be worth taking a swing on. I agree. There are parts of his game that I would say are like top 15 in the draft, but there are areas of his game that I think are a legitimate cause for pause and patience and a little bit of care. Leo Carlson is indeed fun to watch. That the Anaheim Ducks avatar image definitely checks out. He is indeed fun to watch.
I think this
Celebrini,
string of comments is replying to when we answered the stuff about who we'd pick.
Right, yeah, it was. Yeah, Celebrini. I mean, Celebrini was extremely good, but in terms of like the big, fast, heavy,
skill
northbound offense, I think I'd go Fantilli, but I think Celebrini, like as a hockey player, is exceptional. I mean, that's hard to ignore. But yeah, I don't know.
We drink the Adam Fantilli flavored Gatorade as opposed to the Celebrini one. But like,
and I also fully admit I've seen a lot more of Fantilli than I have of Celebrini. I watched Celebrini quite a bit this year, but I've seen a ton of Fantilli, and I saw him in person too, which is definitely biasing me.
Because we love him.
Yeah.
He's just a joy to watch.
Celebrini, though, does do a lot of the things Fantilli needs to do more of. That's for sure.
Yes.
Like that's the two of them should, hang out in the summer and go, you could learn from this guy and you could learn from this guy. But
hey, you're Italian and you're Italian.
Well, yeah, there you go.
And learn from each other.
Hey, let's have a pizza and talk about hockey. Carbonara.
Carbonara. Yeah. I love carbonara. It's awesome.
Oh my God. When the Hawks sign Nyes on an offer sheet, do you want the picks this year or next? You're probably going to have to offer 4 first-round picks worth of offer sheet.
You're more likely to get Mitch Martin than you are Matthew Nyes.
Like, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to match pretty much any offer for Matthew Nyes, unless it's like Austin Matthews money and you take 4 first-round picks. And I don't think you get the option. You have to, if you sign an offer sheet, you have to take um the most recent year's draft picks, I believe. Oh, but I guess an offer sheet would be 2026. But anyway, whatever. I haven't seen anyone ask this, but how come Jackson Smith fell so far in your ranking? Yeah, he did. He fell to, where is he here? He's at 19 now instead of 7.
It's because Will wanted to get him on the show for game
I did.
tape, and then
Yeah.
as soon as he was done, Will dropped him because
Yeah,
we
exactly.
had the interview.
Exactly.
That's why.
I mean, Smith, a lot of it is you don't want to say, oh, I saw him at the under 18s and da 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 da. But the under 18s did reinforce a lot of the issues that I have with him, where it's like sometimes you just watch him play and you just go, it's been years of him trying to do a lot of things that you've got to be unbelievably good to do, and I'm not sure he's there. The talent level, raw talent, like skating ability, his willingness to play physical, it's all there, and it's a matter of like his development from here and like good coaching. But let me pull up his data here, because like it's not good. Like his results have not been very good, and I think with him a lot of the time too, it's like I've kind of gotten tired of like waiting for him to show better results. Like he's getting pounded in his own end. I think a lot of it is the team he plays for is not necessarily the most like finesse offense type. His shot volumes are ridiculous from the middle of nowhere. And when he kind of misses on plays defensively and everything, like it really matters. Like he kind of, it's a bit of an issue. I'd love him to be more physical. I'd love him to be a little bit more mobile laterally, especially. And I mean, look, I have him ranked there because it's like, I think there are other players I'm more confident in, but in terms of talent, he still is better. So, if like there's a reason why this tier is so big. Like if it's 7, 8, 9, 10th overall and you really want a defenseman, Smith is a perfectly reasonable option there. But I think there's just a long road ahead to like get him to be a confident, reliable NHL defender. Maybe you get a guy that you just live with the issues down the road, but I don't know. I've seen a lot out of him, and at the under 18s, I expected him to be like one of the best players there, right? If you're going to draft a guy top 10, I would think you would look at him and go every single shift. You're like, yep, this guy is extremely good at this level. This is perfectly fine. And I felt like a lot of the time it just wasn't that with him, honestly. Okay. My voice is leaving, so we got to get here.
Okay.
Not going to be that guy. Bedard on the Hawks 24-25 compared to Hudson on the 23-24 Hawks. I mean, yes. I mean, it's more like Bedard on the 2024-5 Habs and Hudson on the 23-24 Hawks. Like, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I feel like still, like, the things that Hudson has been doing are pretty spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And Bedard has had good moments for sure, but I've watched a lot of Connor Bedard with Chicago, and I'm watching him and I'm going, yeah, like
he's playing like he did when he played for Regina.
And Hudson, what he does best is working. It is working. He has some gaps in his game, but so does Bedard. But the things that Hudson has been doing and the catalyst that he is for their offense, especially on the power play, is absurdly good. For me, yeah, I mean, it's close. It's a discussion, but for me, I go Hudson. And I feel like Hudson on the Chicago Blackhawks this year would have been extraordinarily good. Like they don't have Elaine Hudson at all on that team. Nope. And he would have played probably the same role.
But a lot of teams don't.
Lots of power play. A lot of teams don't. How important is winning faceoffs on a team, and how much do you value that?
Depends on the team.
Well, it depends on what happens after a faceoff. If you win a faceoff, can you move the puck? Can you make a chance out of it? And if you lose a faceoff, can you get it back? It doesn't, like, winning or losing. It's obviously better to win faceoffs because you don't have to work to get the possession back. But the thing, I was told this by a coach a little while ago too. It's like the reason why teams focus so much on faceoffs is to nail down the immediate thing that happens after a faceoff. Like, yeah, you want your guys to win a faceoff, but you can't expect that to be like a goal. So you kind of have to go, we need to be prepared if we win or lose to know what we're doing. That's what I think is important. I don't pay too much attention to that because a lot of that is coaching and a lot of that is structure and training and stuff that a scout doesn't really have impact on. So it's more about like I don't know. I don't really worry too much about faceoffs personally, except for, I mean, I ran numbers this year on all the guys who took faceoffs and said, okay, how often are they winning faceoffs? And what's the likelihood that if a 50-50 situation like a faceoff goes their way, what's the likelihood that this is just chance? And some guys are a lot better than others, and some guys are a lot worse than others. But so that kind of factors in maybe, but in general, it's a bit of a lower priority for me. It's more about like the immediate things that happen afterwards that matter. Um, AJ, what would you do if the Leafs don't sign Marner or Tavares? Probably your heart would keep beating, I would think.
Yeah, I would hope so. But
Wait to see who they spend the money on instead.
well, if I had to replace both of them, and let's say Matthew Nyes stays, I pitch Brock Nelson and Nikolai Ehlers, please.
Yeah, I probably would not be against that.
Short term for Brock Nelson, but I don't care. You can throw the bag at Nick Ehlers because Nick Ehlers is what this team needs.
Yep. Where does this Panthers team rank in terms of the last cup winners? Ooh.
High. Very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
They beat Tampa. I think they beat Tampa.
Let's see. Do you think they would beat the Montreal Shamrocks of 1900? Do you think Brian Dunphy's Shamrocks would have taken them out?
Oh boy. But they said the last cup winners.
I know. Vegas in 2023 was good. They were really good. So was Colorado.
Yeah. So was Tampa, but like they easily beat St. Louis. Like it's that.
Yeah, like St. Louis, Washington.
They beat those teams fairly easily, in my opinion.
Maybe the Penguins when they repeated, that would be a tough one.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. But I feel like they could beat every team, other than maybe Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado, Pittsburgh, maybe Tampa. Those teams probably would be a tough one.
Basically beat that Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, they're a bit older, but they've beat that Tampa Bay Lightning team. And they embarrassed that Tampa Bay Lightning team almost this year. Like, it's not that different from what it was. Yes, Stamkos, not there, but honestly, Jake Getzel's an upgrade. An upgrade.
Yep. The Buffalo Bandits, playing in a non-palm tree place, have won 3 straight championships in 5 straight final appearances. Yeah, I mean, the National Lacrosse League, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about that. But
the Toronto Rock win that league as well.
That's true. But the Buffalo Sabres, hey, look, we're more making fun of Kevin Adams for the excuses in the first place. Look, I have seen Buffalo win in the NHL. I have seen it happen with my own eyes. And when Buffalo is a hockey town with a good team, holy God, it's the best.
But have you seen them win a Stanley Cup? Nobody has.
No, but I saw them go to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember like it was yesterday when Dominik Hasek was in the Stanley Cup Final for the Buffalo Sabres and they got swept.
Were you like 9 years old?
I think so. 8 or 9.
Yeah, because I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that was 1999.
Yep. Yes, it would have been.
Yeah, 1999.
I also was not alive for the 2000 Stanley Cup because I am a late 2000 birthday.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd love to go to Buffalo and see that team get better and be part of that group when it's really good. Because my God, Buffalo, those days of glory in Buffalo, those are some great fans who deserve a good team.
Maybe a couple times on this stream. When I was a kid and the Buffalo Sabres missed the playoffs that first year, I'm like, haha, yes, finally. That was my reaction, is they actually suck for once. Yes.
Yep.
And they've sucked ever since.
Okay, let's keep going here. Who would you say are the top 4 guys in this draft based purely on playmaking talent, and in what order?
Ooh.
I'd say Misa, Martone, Desnoyers, Misa, Martone, Desnoyers, and
is this just forwards?
I don't know what defensemen have good playmaking ability. I mean, Schaefer, I guess, but
yeah, that's like, could you put Schaefer in there? That's what I'm asking more.
Maybe. Yeah, I think you put Schaefer there. The only other one that came to mind was O'Brien or Kindle. But yeah, Schaefer, Schaefer, Misa, Martone, and Desnoyers, I guess. Something like that. With honorable mentions to Kindle and O'Brien.
Cool.
when watching the Wildcats versus Knights, I actually forgot about Desnoyers. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm just
Did
gonna
not notice.
let it happen. Just gonna let it happen. Should the Bruins trade LaSalle for a bag of pucks?
No.
Yes, one puck. This
Cardio
just this.
merchant, eh?
I'll send the Bruins one of these, and they can send Fabian LaSalle over to me. Who sucks that everyone else is saying rocks? Oh my god, that's a bait question all the way from Finland here.
We will not take your bait.
Yeah,
bro.
we're not taking the bait. No. Also, teams were spooked. Drafted. Also, now teams were spooked, drafted QMJHL players. Probably right. I don't know.
Or maybe
what that
they're
means.
spooked about drafting
Oh,
QMJHL players.
Maybe, but I think that it's like it's not the same level of quality of play as the other CHL leagues, and yeah, like again, like it's yeah, like I watch a Justin Carbonneau and I go, if this were a draft where it was literally just one-on-one, who could be the best shootout guy in the draft, he'd be top 5. But like when it comes to actually playing hockey at both ends of the ice, it's like that's where things get tricky. And I think he gets away with a lot in the queue. And I feel the same way about Desnoyers and the guys he plays with. It's a joke to people now, but like I still feel that way. I feel that way pretty genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
Do QMJHL teams even have comparable resources to get players from other regions? Some do, right? Like I know Moncton is a team that has put a lot of money into the team. Halifax as well is a team that has some resources. In Quebec, like that's the thing, right? Like there isn't a whole lot of money in a place like Val d'Or or Shawinigan, you know, and it is trickier to run that group. It is trickier to run that kind of a team there when you're competing against teams like Moncton or whatever. Like all it really takes is someone who owns 12 car dealerships to go, yeah, you know what, maybe I will put $10 million into my local junior hockey team and whatever, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah, Raptor super fan guy. Just go buy a QMJHL team. Yeah.
Nav Badia. If anyone doesn't know, it's he's a car dealer mogul, I guess you could say, in the Toronto area. He's at every Raptors game, and he's a personality around Toronto. That's for sure. Okay. Worth noting that all those other teams listed with 9 straight playoffs have titles. Exactly. Well, that's the difference. Yeah. Abilities needed for a forward to move to center. I can't see why Eklund wouldn't make a good center, about the same size as Hagens, but more Tiger Piss. I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, I think playing center, you have to be able to win faceoffs. So ideally, that's ideal. But I think that it's a matter of like, I think who are your best forecheckers? Who are the guys you want to throw over the offensive blue line to pin in the offensive zone? And I feel like that's not what you send your centers to do. And I think that's what an NHL person told me about Bill Zanon, is like, he's a guy who does that at center, and it kind of works now, but who knows about the NHL? And I partially agree with that, but I also see him as useful in other situations. But the point is, like, Eklund, I don't think Eklund also has the puck possession ability, like the like, I guess he could. I guess there's a universe where he could play center, but I don't think it's his best traits. Like, his grinding along the boards and all of that stuff. Like, it's kind of why I feel like Kindle makes a better center, is because he can be in that supportive position off the boards, let the winger or defenseman grind it out, pop it out to him, and he'll quickly find an outlet. He'll quickly make a read, get the puck to someone else, and follow them in support all the way up the ice and make plays in the offensive zone. Like, that's the kind of thing that I see centers being valuable for, just being aware of passing lanes off the puck on the defensive end. And I think Eklund is more of a, just, you tell him as a winger, just go out there and piss that tiger piss, man. Just chase guys down, forecheck, back check, paycheck. And centers kind of are more positionally aware, cover ice really well, play in open ice a lot more, and just sort of command the middle of the ice.
Honestly,
and I feel like that just takes away from what Eklund does.
I feel like that Yonkin quote perfectly encapsulates the style of hockey that we want to capture.
Sure.
Like, we look for is forecheck, back check, paycheck type guys.
Yeah. What's your favorite pasta dish?
Oh, I gotta pick a favorite. I love them all, like a lot of them, but bolognese is like the most solid, reliable one. I love carbonara as well, but like, I even love a good fagioli, a good what's the other one? I'm trying to remember, but they're all so good, man. Like, I can't. I can't pick a favorite, but the one I have the most is definitely bolognese. Like I can make bolognese.
All right.
But I do love a good seafood pasta. That's the one I will get when I'm out sometimes.
Yeah. Really shocked you didn't count Higgins in the playmakers. I mean, yeah, but like I think he brings more than that. Like, I mean, yeah, he could be part of that group, but like the vision and timing, I think, with guys like Misa and Martone and even Dane Waye. Like Higgins, I think makes really high end plays. Like I think he makes really high end. He has ideas that are definitely really high end, but in terms of actually like timing them right and completing them and pushing and pulling the flow of the game a little bit to sort of make life easier for whoever they're playing with, I think all those guys do that a little bit better and like sort of play off contact a little better. But I see what you mean. Like Higgins could very easily be part of that group, but in terms of like high end like thinking around these kinds of plays, that's where I think Higgins is a little bit behind those guys. But I mean, yeah, sure, he could be part of that group, I guess. But um I don't know. I see a little bit more higher end sort of thinking with the other guys. Uh we'll pick a player from the 2025 draft based on a tough name to
Oh,
pronounce, and you
boy.
try to here. I'll message you the name
Oh,
because I know
no.
who it's going to be. I know
Why
exactly
are
who
you
it is.
doing this to me? Why are you making me look like an idiot? Oh, Henry Brustevich.
Yeah, Bruštevich, yeah, something like that. But I mean, if I showed that name to any random person, Brzeustewicz, how does anyone know how to do that? That's a good one. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, let's see if there's another
Could I
one that I
try
can
the
find.
one that Ebro gave? Because
Yeah.
he doesn't particularly like my Finnish pronunciation. Rasmus
Yes.
Kamarainen.
Komarainen.
Is that close? It should be
Komarainen.
close, but
He'll tell you.
he'll
I'm
tell
sure
me
he'll
tell
you.
me I'm delusional for thinking it's close.
I know one that you'd have no problem pronouncing is Antonio Martorana or Donato Bracco.
Donato Bracco.
Donato Bracco.
Oh, well, yeah. Any Italian name I can do pretty well.
Matteo. There's a Matteo.
Yeah, like you could even do if I did like Macklin Celebrini in an Italian accent. Macklin Celebrini.
Celebrini.
Yeah, Celebrini.
Celebrini.
Okay, I got about
50%
50% correct.
All right.
You know what?
50% is a pass.
Did I? Is it about 50% or is it 51%? Because if it's 51%, I pass. He's gonna say I got like 49 though, just to troll me. But
yeah, probably. Giacomo Martino. Giacomo.
yeah.
Oh, here's a good one, and we'll call it on this one. I mean, this one's easy to pronounce, but it's just a great name. I'm scrolling through here, and I saw Lucas Nikolai Pettersson Finkenhagen. That's a good one. I like that one.
That is a funny one.
Shout out Lucas Nikolai Pettersson Finkenhagen. Hope you get drafted this year. He's 193 centimeters, so who knows? Anyway, on that note, we're going to call it. This was a good time.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm excited for the rest of Memorial Cup. Stay tuned. We got Scouching reports coming tomorrow, the next day, and Friday, and definitely get a subscription to the site if you want to see them as early as you can. What else is going on? I don't know. Hopefully, I got my hair cut pretty soon because this is getting really annoying and it's a little out of control. But we'll see you Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. We'll see if these playoffs, if this Carolina series is over or not by then. We'll see.
I'm sorry. I love Carolina. Look, to anybody who works for the Canes, who listens, or is a Canes fan, I love your team, all right? The Leafs would have beat you this year. Goodbye.